Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future, shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable, ongoing reality. Hello and welcome to Real Talk with the Cummings. My name's Mark Angelo.
And I'm Lena Ariel. Thank you guys for joining us this Friday night.
Yes, it's Friday already. This week has gone by so quickly. And we've got Gail and Macian.
Yes, Macian Mount.
Hello, hello.
That's a new person.
Yes, thank you for
Hi,
joining
Macian
us.
Mount. The world is doomed, I believe.
It can be, or it can be an amazing thing that's taking place where, you know, new things will be happening to help with our awakening and our freedom. It will be doomed if we stay dead asleep. You know, that's how it goes. Anyway.
Awesome. Well, I mean, we have a weekend planned.
Yes.
Tomorrow we have an interview.
Yes.
With April in Canada.
Yeah. We're not actually going to Canada, but it's on the phone.
Yeah, we're
it's
not.
a radio.
We're not going to go to Canada. We're just going to.
have an interview.
Do a radio interview. And then on Sunday, we're going to drive out to Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
And go to our favorite...
Sweet Tomatoes.
Sweet Tomatoes, our favorite vegan hangout.
Because baby girl's birthday is Monday or Tuesday, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the 4th. And so we're just going to drive down to Tucson.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. 49. One more and yeah.
49.
You'll be in the big 5-0.
I'm still in my 40s.
Oh, that'll go before you
You're
know it.
in your 50s. Though.
Yeah, I'll be 55 in June. And proud of it.
Thanks, Macian and Renee.
Hey, Renee, an anti-popular girl.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us. Do you record her?
Treat her well, Mark.
What?
He always does. Treat her well, Mark.
Yes.
He always does. He's so good to me. All the time.
So, what do we got for today?
Oh, gosh. What do we have today?
Let's see.
Do we have a 3-hour show?
I hope not. I mean, yesterday, we've been at it for
a 3-hour
regimen here, but hopefully it won't be that bad today. A lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of mind control going on. Lots and lots of mind control tactics, especially in social media. But today, we're going to focus on Facebook.
Facebook.
Yes, Facebook.
I think one of the biggest mind control operations out there has been the church.
Yes.
That is a huge mind control because with me, I know that I suffered mind control. Now that I look back at it, at what the church did to me, like believing what, I'm supposed to believe in, and how that just like totally impaired my outlook on life. You know, like as a teenager, I didn't think I was even going to make it out of my teens.
I
thought God was coming.
Hate to interrupt you, but I think Anti-Popular Girl says something. She's recording, and are we okay with it? I want you to know.
She said she's playing around with DE recorder.
I want you to know.
And she's live.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's not a problem.
Sure.
Not a problem at all.
It's all good.
It's all good. Yeah, so that fear factor is something that I think a lot of us grew up with, you know, as a Jehovah Witness, you know, there was Armageddon, you know, and the world's
Oh, it
going
was
to end.
Armageddon for me too.
Yeah, and then that the dead people were going to come up from the ground. My grandmother would always like, I'll get to see your grandfather again. He's going to rise from the dead.
Well, it was a good story though. It wasn't zombies coming from the ground. It was
well, that's what I visualized.
It was literally people coming back to life.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
here I am, a kid, right?
right?
I'm imagining, you know, cemetery, grandpa coming from the ground, all like, honey, I'm home. You know, I'm like going, oh my God, please.
You watched way too many of those.
Well, my mom used to love to watch zombie movies, but you know, tell a little kid that the grandfather's going to rise up from the dead. What do you think it's going to, I mean, the visual. I mean, what do you guys visualize when somebody tells you grandpa is coming back from the dead when Armageddon gets here? And I'm like, so we're going to have a bunch of, and then my mom used to love to watch zombie movies, and of course she would make me watch it with her. So what do you think I visualized? Grandpa getting out of the grave, all cleaning up the dirt, and you know,
looking like the Thriller video.
Oh my God, yeah, and going all that weird stuff. Hey, Soulseye Jules, thank you for joining us.
Soulseye Jules, thank you for coming out to our channel. Mazion Mount says, best technique is an unspoken one called the shift, which is terrifying. Want me to explain? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what.
The shift, what's going to actually happen on the earth, the shift that's happening now, or is that some movie that you are talking about?
I already got 6 likes. Awesome. Thank
Awesome.
you guys
Thank
for
you.
being so kind to us.
So you're all the way from London, man. I studied mind control in London, so I have useful tips. I have a feeling. Yeah. So Patricia, thank you for joining us. Yes, mind control techniques.
Good evening, Cummings and friends. Thank you so much for your input yesterday, Patricia.
Yes, we appreciate you all the time.
Very insightful.
Extremely insightful.
And real.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
that's
I love it when people that we meet on chat are real. You
not
know,
some troll.
Not some troll trying to
take
over conversation.
And we kind of, you know, we've gotten pretty good at like going, okay. I'm like going, okay.
Anti-Public Girl says, I was glad to see the church I belonged to as a kid close. Wow, some people were upset with me for being glad, but it was a good church. If it was a good church, it would still be around.
Exactly.
Thanks, Patricia.
Yes.
Macion, I'll explain if I wanted, but otherwise I'm happy to talk, whatever. Well, we've just got a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
And
what we want to do is so that we could keep up to par with the comments is like read a little section of it and then have you guys comment so that we're not like talking about nutrition and still having comments about out-of-body experiences, you know, because it kind of like throws the flow off a bit.
Yeah,
so,
and also, like, we want to keep our comments, like, after we read an article, pertinent to the article. Right,
but sometimes,
And sometimes we get behind.
Yeah, because,
you know, but I'm going to scroll down.
Yeah.
Because we've gotten some people to basically be like, wait a minute, you guys, your comments are off. So we don't want to throw off the flow of the show. That's kind of what, you know, we want to keep it moving, right? Moving in a flow.
Exactly. And keep you all in the loop and keep you involved because we love your comments. So anyway, many of us use Facebook. I mean, that's, gosh, I think I joined Facebook in 2010. So that's, 9 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, you know, but little do we know that it is actually, you know, it's not there for our pleasure, but for the CIA and for those that want all sorts of...
They've been mining.
Yeah.
They've been mining gold in the form of information.
Hello, Amparejo. Amparejo, no?
Amparejo.
Are you Hispanic?
Nice.
Amparejo?
2
thumbs up. Awesome. Hit the thumbs down there too. Yeah. Anyway, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet.
You guys are great. I love how we can agree to disagree and how you try so very hard to engage your audience.
Well, it's important. You guys are what make this show up. We just ramble, and you guys make the show up.
I just think you guys, you know, are the show, really, because we are like interjecting little news bits into the conversation.
Exactly.
And we just kind of try to steer the conversation along, but you know, you guys make the show. And without you guys,
there's no show.
There's no show.
She's from Uruguay.
Ay, sí.
Cubano, Puertorriqueña.
Puertorriqueña.
Yes, okay.
Uruguay.
Mucho
Awesome.
gusto. Gracias. Y gracias for subscribe. Okay, so the casino effect. You know, this is one of the things, number one, that tactics used by Facebook, right? And people go, the casino effect. Now, right away you think of Vegas, right? The sounds of messages and comments coming in is meant to stimulate the excitement center of the brain. Similar to the noises in a casino, which is in turn helps the person bond to the sounds and crave them. The sounds of attention can help decorate someone's empty life and set up Facebook addiction. When people react to our posts with likes and comment, it triggers a satisfaction substance called dopamine, proven to initiate addictive behavior. This agenda revolves around breaking down traditional family and community bonds by making people bond with computers and electronics as opposed to family and other humans. One of the founders of Facebook explains the same.
Facebook face recognition. This is why it's called Facebook. By the ruling families who organized this technology. Not just Mark Zuckerberg,
Nope.
to track everyone's face. Hence why they wanted us to do our 10-year photo. And we were like,
Oh, yeah.
let's just give them our photo from 10 years
Right,
ago
10 years
compared
ago.
to now.
Yeah.
So face recognition software can track you across the world. If you happen to run or cause too much trouble when the Orwellian boot kicks you in the face in the upcoming years. As a side note, this technology is completely bogus at this point in time because a recent conviction using face recognition software failed to recognize that the real criminal, capitalized, had a large mole on his face when the person arrested and sent to jail and eventually let out didn't have a mole on it at all. Just another scam to throw you in the slammer when you cause some trouble for our social engineers down on the control grid. They want to be able to track you everywhere in case you leave the control grid. Facial recognition technology is one part of the human farming operations to keep all human cattle inside the fence. And that's why Google Maps,
Yep.
you know, they track us wherever we go.
It's like, you think you're free, think again. 1984 is already here, and welcome, Kid Next. Thank you for joining us. It's pretty disturbing, to say the least, but we are doing it freely and willingly. Number 3, emotional venting. The emotional venting of the slave class is a simple technology, which is used in many other areas as well, not just Facebook. It's about making the slave class believe they have a say and some form of control by allowing them to vent off emotion or rebellion potentials as to divert that angry energy away from the abusive slave master. Slaves in their 9-to-5 slavery don't experience a full range of emotion or control in their lives, so the emotion icons were added to help with the emotional venting and a way to trick the slave's mind into pretending it has control. To more fully understand this venting concept, you may want to watch a video that they put out, and it's called or something about sports, and it's used the same way to vent off rebellion potential from the slave class. You know, it's like back in the day when we worked the cotton farms or the cotton, what is it? Not the
Cotton
farm
fields.
Yeah, they had chains around us and they whipped us, and they got a little smart. Because if we're wearing them down, we're hurting them. Let's give them the assumption that they're free, invisible bars will, they'll tax us and we work and they allow us to buy things, but we're still slaves. No different, just no whipping and no chains.
Oh, look at Cyberskull's here. Hi,
Hey, Cyberskull, thank you for joining us.
They used to sell, or they do still, right? Fences, these invisible fences for dogs and cats, or dogs, right?
Yeah, dogs.
And, if they go up close to the fence, what happens to the...
Or they have those little things around
zapped, right?
Yeah,
They get zapped.
Hey, Renee, thank you for joining us. And Renee says something.
Renee?
Yeah, just bring it down. Right there.
Oh, Facebook also puts people in jail
Mm-hmm.
for days or a month and watches how you keep coming back each time they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
that's...
for the dumbest things, too, they
Oh, I
put you in
know.
jail.
I know. It's anything that upsets any kind of minority group that has a movement, and then depends who they have working for Facebook during that time that checks the complaints, you know, and it's just...
Well, it's a
in
computer.
jail.
It's an algorithm. There's nobody literally checking the computer.
I think they do when you like,
think so?
yeah. I mean, there's an algorithm, but then they check it to make sure it's valid or not.
I guess they upset Apple
Yeah.
yesterday.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, so Apple kicked some people from Facebook out of their campus in California. So, yeah, things aren't going really well for Facebook. And also, one of the things that they're going to do in the future here in the next 6 months is they're going to combine Instagram and WhatsApp to the Facebook app. So now, if you don't want to be on Instagram, you're on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, if you don't want to be on WhatsApp, now you're on WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, yeah.
So it's like, this is another way of centralizing all that information. You know, imagine all the people with their IG accounts and all the pictures and all the followers they have on IG.
I know, it's crazy.
You know, and it's now going to be all one.
One
I wonder what
thing.
it's going to be called. Facegram?
Something Facegram, right?
Facegram app?
Yeah, better late than never, Cyber Skull. We just are glad that you're here joining us. It is Madness Manson, or Mason.
Mason. Using likes to drive addiction. The algorithms inside Facebook program are set to more widely distribute what you write to your friend list, the less you use it. This means the first post that you make in the morning gets the most wide distribution, and successive posts that follow get progressively less and less distribution. Facebook is designed like a casino machine to give out a massive payout of likes with your first post in a day to make sure you're drawn to the addiction daily. It's also interesting to note that the more likes, comments, and traffic toward your page happens when you are on it. This means that when you sit in front of the computer moving the mouse, you get more emotional rewards as opposed to posting and walking away. This sort of brain activation reward control system makes people addicted to short-term reward only, making them unable to apply themselves to any project that provides a reward in the long-term future, like starting a business, for example.
The short-term stimuli system manufactures a person who needs reward on a minute-to-minute basis. And literally, I mean, there are people that are constantly, you know, placing real success completely out of their reach because real success is based on accomplishing long-term goals, which I find that this day and age, people just don't think of long-term goals. They want immediate gratification. They want immediate validation. They want immediate, you know, this long-term stuff. This generation doesn't know what that is. This cements a slave father into their slavery, and especially conditioning the mind to be adverse to starting an independent business venture. The man at this link explains the death of long-term goals, which is great for the ruling 1% and terrible for the slave class. The electronic addiction. The part of the brain that gets activated by Facebook stimulation actually grows in size, needing more and more stimulation from Facebook or other stimulants. What this means is that Facebook technology, which is proven to activate addiction centers in the brain, can trigger other addictions and short-term pleasure seeking. In short, Facebook can trigger the hedonism gone wild spiritual takeover that now so common with the population at large. Notice how important that part of the brain grows and grows and grows. That's why, you know, when somebody gets into some sort of addictive pattern and they get a stimuli from that addictive pattern and they, you know, they get praise and they look at the mirror and it's like it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's, you know, it's like it's a monster being created.
It's really crazy. I mean, I got on Facebook back in 2008 in the summer, and I was super excited because I was meeting friends from high school that I hadn't seen in years, and then you see how successful some of them were, and you see what they did with their lives, their families, their kids, their pictures, and people just got really emotionally stimulated by it, and I don't know what happened. I mean, it's like it became like a competition, for people, because it's like, some people inadvertently, inevitably would have a better job than somebody else. And then they would like post pictures of their wonderful life. Other people would just get jealous because they're like, I can't believe. So you get to travel all the time and you get to go wherever you want to. And I get stuck in this 9 to 5. And it's like this competition that it turned into.
Hello, Preston. Thank you for joining us. Preston Crawford and Patricia. Already, she said something.
Cyber Skulls.
Facebook is pure evil. CIA, NCA says Cyber Skull. Totally.
And Patricia says, I'm on a Chromebook, a Google laptop, right? So I'm in the cloud, whatever that means.
I know. And then the names are so weird. Cloud. What's other names that they use? All these like really weird names.
The cloud. That is where artificial intelligence lives.
Yeah.
That's where our organic brain is pumping our organic information up to the cloud. We're like helping AI develop as we speak. Right now, YouTube. Right now, Facebook. Right now, Instagram. Right now, Tumblr. Right now, all these different avenues, Twitter, are creating their artificial intelligence of the human brain.
Totally. And so let's see here. Let's keep up. Patricia said, okay, cybers, no matter what you are on, they are 50 years ahead of us. Totally.
Wow. See, so I mean, it's like they know what's happening. This is like something that they saw back in the 60s or something, It's like, they talked about it? Like somebody said in 1969 something about mind control. Remember we were watching? They said something about, how people would be connected to each other via, a computer. And I mean, growing up, the thought of a computer, it was like, oh, that's not practical for at home. It's got a green amber screen and it's got text. It's boring. It's not interesting. It's just for geeks, right? Look at they put a graphical interface over code on a computer screen.
They knew exactly what they were going to do.
And they created a beast.
They knew exactly what they were going to do. They were just slowly integrating things because human beings don't like change and don't like rapid change, the majority. So they have to kind of like, they know exactly what their pets need. We're their pets. They know exactly.
Control venting. By allowing slaves to pretend, and that's the key word here, pretend to have a say in all topics, it also stops them from preparing for what's really coming. Many people vote online to save the rainforest or stop the pollution, or they write an article about the government being corrupt. But how many actually have a firearm, a wood stove, a supply of food, lots of ammo, solar power, a fresh water supply, warm clothing, hunting supplies, fishing supplies, etc.? One of the things that I was thinking about was, they do these things and then people are just dependent. It's like if there's something that happens in the world, people are now reporting to Facebook that they're safe.
Yeah. Like, okay, Facebook, I'm safe.
There was a shooting.
Report that you're safe. Yeah, it's like
report that you're safe.
They're training us.
It's like they're giving us. They're like teaching us how to be good little slaves. Yeah. It's like, okay, now what do we do when we are AWOL?
And be careful what you write because you may get on Facebook jail. And things of that nature. It's really travesty altogether.
So when a person thinks they're helping the world by doing this, if anything at all, they're now deemed a slacktivist. engaging in slacktivism, or society is drowning in this type of disempowered narcissist.
The powers that organize Facebook would rather give the population pretend control through Facebook posts to help them vent, as opposed to the slaves using the same energy to actually prepare for what's coming. I remember when I used to work at a company called PRC, and they had the supervisors. I was quality assurance representative. I would listen to the operators, make sure they were reading correctly and, all that stuff. But whenever we had an irate customer, they were mad. They just brought this little high school kid. He was the supervisor, a 19-year-old at that, 18, whatever. Oh, this is the supervisor speaking. How may I help you? And, the customer's like venting. We understand, ma'am. We're so sorry about that. Do you think that, it's all that person want to do is vent, get all that anger out? You just yes them to death, and then that was it. It was over.
Yeah.
Nothing,
That's it.
That's it. That's
so
all it's
they
done.
they got this off their chest.
Yeah.
And now they felt, it's almost like, the good of a therapist, most of the time.
$150 an hour.
All they're doing is every 3 weeks, they're repeating what you said.
Yeah.
Back
so let me
to
get, you get upset when somebody doesn't validate you.
Yeah, that's it.
And you like people to tell you, right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know me.
Yeah.
It's well, she knows you because you told her.
Yeah, everything. Or they just repeat what you said.
Uh-huh.
When you just
In
said
a question
in
form.
But it's no solution, no anything. You're just rambling. You might as well get a parrot and you save $150 an hour.
Yeah.
Our social engineers will use the economy, power, heat, lighting, food, false flags, every increasing violence and the ensuing chaos against the population soon enough, so it's best to make at least minor preparations, if not major ones. Stop just writing about stuff and talking about it. Do something and take real action. The thing is, though, that's good advice, but at the same time, when the shit hits the fan.
I know.
It's like...
Seriously.
If you have a lot of food in your house, you're going to get people coming in trying to steal it.
If you live in a big city.
Yeah.
That's why we want to stay away from big cities, because at least in the small town, you still have a sense of community and people are going to want to take care
help
of
one
each other. But in a big city like Fort Lauderdale, where we were,
gosh, that's crazy.
It would just be pandemonium.
I know. So let's.
So Cyber Skull says, no matter. And a popular girl said, please do not forget to subscribe, click like and share.
Thank you.
You hit the nail on the head with the tech. And a popular girl says.
Yes. And then Cyber Skull says you have backdoors in your chips. It's their toys you buy. Yeah. That's what I'm not into. I've got my computer and my phone, and I've had this phone for eons now, keeping it simple. The more gadgets you have, the more they track you, and the more, I'm simple that way. So your turn.
Number 6 is dissident tracking. Facebook algorithms track who's posting pictures of their cats and their glass of wine on a Friday night. The complaint drone bot, bootlicker, order taker, repeater, slave type, government loving, flag waving, warmonger, cheerleader, sedated, distracted, sports watcher, follower type. So they peg us all into different categories, if you don't know that. And Facebook also tracks who actually knows what's going on. Both types of people are targets, using different methods. The uniformed slave will be poisoned off the planet, of course with vaccines, toxic meds, ever-increasing poisonous junk food, cell phone radiation, fluoride, chemtrails, taxed into oblivion, charities drives that steal their money, and the dissidents will be hunted down eventually unless every slave comes together as one force and demands slave master reel in his satanic behavior. Regardless, no one will be spared. So spreading the word and awakening more people is the only strategy I believe that is worthwhile on Facebook. And, that concept of like your friend in Florida, building his own little kingdom there and arming himself with rifles and, you know,
Food
all
supply.
it's going to take for the government is to just throw some high frequency, you know, modulator thing, and you can't even shoot a weapon.
Yeah.
You know, because
and they know exactly who's got what, who's buying what, who's got, you know, they know every move.
I mean, I was at the Republican National Convention back in 2008, and it really blew me away because I realized just how militarized this country is. For the first time, you know, when we were to drive in, they had bomb sniffing dogs checking the cars all the time, opening hoods and checking and stuff. But more than that, they had like these 14-foot steel fences around the perimeter of the convention center. And they had like all this army equipment, snipers up on the roofs. They had like these frequency something trucks, you know, with antennas sticking out. And you know they were doing some mind control craziness.
It's amazing. It's just an LG. Simple, cheap LG from Metro PC.
It's an Android phone, so you've got Google on there.
Yeah. Patricia says,
I bought a bunch of long-term storage food. I stopped because I've come to believe the prepper info was staged to drive the economy.
Yeah, they do that all the time.
I mean, Glenn Beck was selling, remember back then on Fox, he was selling, you know, all these different preparation things and buy gold. Everybody's telling you to buy gold.
Bitcoins.
And now they're telling you to buy
Bitcoins, yeah.
And it's like, Bitcoin. Okay, so if the grid goes down, that's electronic. So what good is Bitcoin?
I know. It's crazy.
It's foolish.
And Amparejo says, I hope we can get all together soon. Definitely. That's the saving grace. That people start joining in communities, you know, where they could grow their own food, help one another, protect one another. Because that's what's really going to...
Cyberskull says, if you don't have real survival skills, you are done.
Yeah. And anti-popular girl.
She says, as a friendly reminder, speaking your opinion is always welcome. However, hate speech and bullying will not be tolerated. Thank you,
anti-popular girl. Thank you. So find people of knowledge on Facebook, learn, educate, ascend, evolve, rediscover morality, promote ethical behavior, and move to the world in the direction it needs to move in for the next generation, which isn't posting pictures of yourself, shit-faced every Friday night, or a picture of your newest stuff. Let's adult up and get on with it.
Facebook also tracks the most powerful truth-based information and then tags limitation algorithms to it. So the least amount of people can share and spread that information. Facebook inversely also uses highly contagious algorithms so that useless information and compliant behavior spreads far and wide to provide the reflexively obedient order takeover with the emotional feedback they need to feel secure and content in their empty life of slavery down on the human farm.
You know, and we laugh about this, but it is a human farm. You know, we think we're free. We're not free. We're slaves. That's why back in 2010, I wrote my album, Enslaved. You know, everybody thought I was crazy, and I was like, you are slaves.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and willingly. People are willingly doing it.
Yeah, they're volunteering their information. You know, it's like, I don't know how many trans people would volunteer to go under the knife for a surgical procedure if it was offered. I mean, obviously in Canada that's something that people do, but it's like they voluntarily go to get themselves damaged.
Yeah, and they voluntarily post pictures about themselves and everything, what they're doing and what they didn't do and what they did. I mean, it's like constant, all to get that like and that validation, and they know it.
Macion Mount says, Facebook has a secret base in Florida that I'm sure got closed after sharing nude pictures in 2015.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
All right, number 7.
Oh, I read 6.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so behavior analysis. The behavior of the collective Facebook community is analyzed daily regarding if the public is still under hypnosis or not. How are people reacting to each particular fabricated news event or or our handlers manufacture and spread using the lamestream media. What story works best to inject fear into the public? What colors work best? What pictures work best? Are the sheep still asleep? Do the tyrants have to start placing even more toxins in the vaccines to destroy the nervous system function in the slave class? Is more fluoride needed? Maybe more mercury fillings, etc., etc., etc. This is called cybernetics, and we saw a video about that, the study of how the bullshit travels, how fast, and in what direction. The ruling 1% use Facebook to access the most effective way to move the lies into the collective psyche of the public. Government propaganda is advertising for the ruling families, and like any good business, you need to track the results of your advertising to see what works best for driving the profit skyward. And they do all of this without giving nobody a penny. Because they take, I mean, it's like, it's a show, free show. People go on Facebook, they fight amongst each other because the battles that go on Facebook.
Oh yeah,
epic. I mean, it's like real
World War III.
Yeah, reality TV. Yeah, so they're making money out of everybody's fighting, of everybody's pictures, of everybody, but they don't give anyone a penny. At least YouTube gives us a few little nickels, you know. But
well, I mean, Facebook has a thing where you can join or something, or there's something where you pay for your site or some advertising. I'm not sure how that. I don't know how that works. But,
right, but it's not. It's got to be a business, and you've got to, you know. But it's So let's see what we got here. Okay. Catherine says, "I love you all. We love you too, Catherine. Christ is telling us important messages. Understand His words." Thank you, Catherine, for speaking your truth, and we appreciate you joining us, and we love you. And Kid next. Okay.
Macian says, Catherine Willie, did you know Chris is Christopher because it resembled Christ? Weirdly, people forget. Yeah, you know, the English language is such a tool for manipulation and mind control. Right. You know, because you know you could use the word like say gay, and then use it now as gay. Yeah. And whereas gay used to mean happy, joyful, now gay has been given a totally different meaning, which is homosexual. Yeah. You know. So they play on these words, you know. And you know, also the whole concept of gender and stuff with the feminine blue being the original and masculine pink being the original. Everything. How they've taken that and they've inverted it. And the fact is that the color block shows that pink is a masculine color. Yep. And blue is a feminine color. I know. But
they're confusing. But you know why they did that?
So they could twist it.
But because they did that originally so then they could twist what's happening now.
Like Cyberskull said, they're always 50 years ahead. Yeah. So you think from the 20s when they started doing that,
they were already programming
30, 40, 50, 60, 70.
Already programming it. And he says, imagine all that ships unleashed and hungry.
All that ships unleashed and hungry. Yeah. And Renee says, you have to pay to boost your posts.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't give you any money. Yeah, they don't give you any money. You have to pay them. Yeah, but you know, but they use all your drama, all your whatever it is that you're sharing, your pictures and whatever else to advertise. You know, but they don't give you anything. You have to pay them.
You know, the craziest thing though is that Instagram, which is Facebook, obviously, because they're going to combine it. So they wouldn't be able to combine it unless they were the same company. Instagram, it's like if you put a picture up, people aren't really like following you. They're wanting their IG page to be followed. You know what I mean? So like they go, follow me on such and such a page. And it's like, wait a minute, I just threw pictures up of some food. And you guys just want us to go subscribe to your vegan channel, you know.
Read what
So Catherine says, we have our shield of faith, Christ in our hearts, truth in our minds, and always on our tongues. Christ's love through us is a great gift.
I think we've got a tremendous consciousness that comes from that Christ divine source energy that we all have to tap into so that we could unleash all this love and union and healing that we need upon ourselves and each other in this beautiful planet. And Mason, the only reason I even use Facebook is to advertise our show, to put things that are our interests, like links to articles that I feel very passionate about. It's a form of education. So as much as Facebook is using me and Lena, I use Facebook to get the message across, to, plant little seeds. And that's the only reason I've ever even joined Facebook. Originally was in 2010 to promote my album Enslave and to educate people about the awakening,
Oh, and they thought you were crazy.
Yeah, they thought, yeah. And that's when I joined also YouTube back in 2006, and I started writing songs and putting things up there, and everybody thought I went crazy. I'm not so crazy anymore, am I? Anyway, are you...
Number 8, the like language effect. If you'll notice, many young people today can't communicate effectively using language because every second word is like. And it's like, and I said like, and like, word magic. The ability to communicate effectively and change another person's mind is interrupted by the word like being used in a sentence. The use of the word like as a joining word in sentences is slave talk for the slaves because it means no effective communication of ideas can occur. The use of the like button and conversations about likes drives that word deeper into the slave subconscious, making it more apt to be used in slave talk, if that is even possible.
I hear young people talk today and every second word is like, and I can't stand that. And of course, this form of communication destroys their ability to lead others or bring groups together, etc., etc., like a good speaker, magician has done throughout the ages. Using the word like is all part of a parcel of what teachers John Taylor Gatto calls the new dumbness. The new dumbness is a new manufactured state of dumbness that doesn't occur naturally in children or adults when raised absent of the media and the government influence. When I used to work for PRC, that's one of the things that I used to have to catch when people would use the a lot or that word like. So it's like, can we please clean it up a little bit and try not to, because you need to learn.
Or
that is another one. And it's just dead space. People are afraid to let a little dead time go in. So that's why they add the like or the or And
but I think what they're trying to say here is that like is kind of like a programming word.
It is.
So people use it. And it's almost like they get put into a trance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So they get into this flow of conversation that is absolutely meaningless.
Right.
Right? So it encourages them to engage in meaningless banter as well.
And not to have any dead space, because when you have dead or silence, you're actually able to hear what a person is saying, ingest it. So when people use like, hum, and things of that nature, you're not really... But yes, there's certain words that have magical...
Catherine says, getting our love out anywhere is the important thing.
Totally, Catherine. Love is what it's all about. That is the frequency that we need to totally live in and really focus on being there.
Gail Single says, we just need to keep an attitude of interest and not of fear. Mm-hmm. Don't buy into it to overcome the negatives. It's all good. More people do need to change their attitude, though. You guys are helping.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you for joining us.
Very kind comment.
Master says, Mark, who owns Facebook? Has a hidden IP.
Mark Zuckerberg, who owns Facebook.
Facebook has hidden, IP. Even the FBI couldn't crack. Yeah.
Some crazy
stuff.
Catherine says, once you have Christ in you, you have no fear of anything from the enemies of this world. Truth. And it's true, once you realize that Christ, that spirit of divinity lives within you, and you open your soul to that spirit residing and making its presence known, the sky isn't even the limit, like you say.
It's your Savior. You know, the Christ, not the avatar or the story the way it's written. It's your Savior. It's your armor. It's your connection to the absolute. It's what allows you to be brave, because you know, like, you have this bulletproof vest that doesn't matter how much bullets they shoot at you, it's not going to penetrate. So you need to learn how to activate that divinity, that Christed-like consciousness in us, so that we could deal with what's taking place. And when you have that up, you know how to love unconditionally. That's the name of the game.
Renee says, in the 70s and 80s, as a teenager, we said like all the time, but we grew out of it. Not anymore. It's, you know, it's like, oh my God, like, it's like
California, Wagandango.
It was that Valley talk, right? Valley girl talk and stuff. And it was so prominent, you know. And California kind of spearheaded a lot of that airhead talk, right? Airhead talk is what it was.
Empty head talk. And Cyrus says, Catherine, do you know what the symbol means? Oh, the upside down cross that's made into a peace sign. Good catch there, Cyberskull. Yes. Yes. And
so,
Amparejo.
Catherine says, the love and information we get from Molina and Mark are so helpful. Love is truth.
Love is our healing tool. It's everything. Amparejo, how can we make people aware of the truth when all they care is to post a picture with fuller lips each time? I know. And then that just drives me insane to no end. Because it's like the selfie craze, oh my God, that's all, you know, it's all that people do. You know, it's like picture, picture, picture. It's like, say something meaningful. Oh, and what I hate the most, or dislike the most, I hate to use the word hate, is that they put their picture and then they put some really meaningful message. Like they're trying to slip in the picture so they don't look so narcissistic while they're doing it.
Try to have a positive attitude, everybody. Yeah. Be like me. Yeah. You know, it's like as they pose.
All I really want is for you to tell me how beautiful I am and to hit the like button. And Catherine says, God was telling Christ he wants us to have Christ in us to share this great gift of love. Yes.
Yeah, Mark and I do. We have, yes, 2 trannies actually, Ham. Thanks anyway. But I know a male. Mark knows he's female.
Yeah.
So the joke is not really a joke. You know.
And moderators, keep an eye on Ham there. I mean, we'll give him if he's really wanting to learn something. But if he's just here to try to be a ham, then, you know, we're...
So then, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we do. I take selfies, you know. You take selfies.
Very rare. I used to a lot.
You used to a lot more.
Yeah, but not
anymore.
Know.
But, you know, I mean, it's like you take them, but you're not taking them like all the time, every day, everywhere, all the different places and stuff. I mean, I used to be really overboard with selfies, but, you know, I don't take them as much as I used to, you know, and it's a process, you know. I mean, we're all growing, you know, and as a transgender couple, when I met Mark, I mean, he was taking selfies, you know, good morning, you know, I mean,
I think a lot of it,
friends,
I think a lot of it was boredom for me, you know, when I was single, and it was just like a way to communicate, you know. The more and more I awaken, the least I care about this meat suit, the least I care about how I look, you know, because it's like, this really doesn't matter. But that's a process. A lot of people are still using their look as their tool, as their drug, you know, and that's a process.
So, Carmen, FB is damaging. I use it to connect with my kids, but it's such an unhealthy place, and I get sucked in. Not healthy. You end up spending so much time on Facebook, you know, that it just totally takes apart from your, you know, your time that you could be doing something else.
I get the beard from the testosterone treatment that I was on. I no longer take testosterone, but I was on it since 2003. So not only do I have the beard, I got body hair, and, you know, hair fell off the head. Most guys do get a patchy, and most guys are very envious of my full beard. But
well, you know, one of the reasons that your beard might be patchy is because estrogen is all over. Yeah. And, you know, people are taking estrogen without even realizing it. If you drink beer, you're taking estrogen. If you're eating pizza, you're taking estrogen. Because if you're eating meat, you know, if you're there's so many things
estrogenic compounds. So a lot of guys need a little blue pill to get it up, or at 20s, and you know their testosterone levels are very low. So Jean Rose, hey Jeannie Rose, you are both very attractive people. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Is it Jenny or Jeannie? Jeannie?
We try, you know, to take care of our bodies.
Yeah, that's my main concern is my health. That's why I no longer take hormones. We're plant-based eater, vegans. We only eat one meal a day. We exercise, you know, try not to sweat the small stuff. Are we perfect as far as not stressing out and getting, you know, upset? We're not there yet. You know, there's still a lot of work still spiritually to be done, but don't we all? But our eating is perfect and our exercise routine is good. You know, I try to get 8 hours of sleep. You know, sleep to me is very important.
And I just wanted to say, as a person who is a tranny, I would not want to recommend this life to anybody. As a couple, Mark and I do not believe in the transitioning of young children or even adults, you know, or the use of synthetic hormones. We try to advocate for, you know, the regular person, you know, for women, you know, to be able to have a safe place to congregate, to have their places respected. I, as a trans woman, will not just go use the women's restroom whenever I feel like it. We'll wait, go home.
Mm-hmm. We respect that.
We respect public spaces, you know, and we're not those kinds of people that want to just usurp everybody else's rights. I don't want rights if it means that my rights are going to take another person's right away.
I grew up, you know, when being a lesbian and gay wasn't popular. It wasn't something that, you know, you just waved the flag. We did what we did. We had our spaces. We had our gay clubs that we went to. You didn't sit there and make out with people in front of other people so that, you know, you freak people out. I mean, technically, we are not the norm, you know.
I mean, we're not even 5% of the population.
Exactly. So
we're just an anomaly.
Why should we have to like impose our lives on other people? I'm just grateful that they don't blow our houses up, and I'm just grateful that, you know, we could live, and we live in a community that's very gracious to us. They know our story, and they respect and love us, you know, and that's all. We don't sit there and wave a flag, and that's the problem with today's society. People are demanding, and that's going to come back and backfire on everyone.
So Catherine says, Cyber Skull sign tattoo, the peace sign tattooed to my cheek for over 40 years now. Means peace to me. I don't care what others believe on the subject. My intentions were a loving thing. And, you know, that's the important thing, Catherine. Your intention for it was peace, love. Yeah. You know, you're probably a flower child, you know, 60s. And you embrace that freedom, and that's beautiful. I think it's beautiful.
But I totally understand Cyber Skull, because signs and symbols and words can be damaging, and I know that Catherine didn't know that. Back in the 60s, they probably pushed it, and then it's part of. Notice what happened in the 60s. Everybody was against the war, right? And it was like people were standing up against all that stuff, and all of a sudden, what happened? Everything got turned around.
Yeah.
So maybe certain words and certain signs kind of created a docile human being, and we became slaves again, or little zombies. So it's great to learn. I mean, I'm always very thankful to, you know, to learn new things and try to like gracefully accept that and not to get upset.
But you know, symbols are whatever they mean to you. You know, I mean, if
it can. But if there's a signal that is actually going to like trigger something in you, and you're unbeknownst, because it's not like you have to even know that it's doing it to you. So it's good to be aware. It's good to be educated on it.
Cyber Skull, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice.
How do you avoid estrogen and increase testosterone? Well, first of all, how old are you? Because if you're in your early 20s, you should still be pretty pretty good, pretty viral. But try not to like use styrofoams, BPA products. Some deodorants could cause you a lot of problems. You know, certain foods that you eat, if you're eating meat, you know that you got estrogen in the cow.
They're pumping them full of
and your milk
hormones.
And stuff like that. That's why we're plant-based. You know, there's estrogen compounds everywhere this day and age.
Eating bad soy.
Yeah. You have to make sure
GMO corn.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you know what you're putting in your system and look at the chemicals in the products that you're using.
And just to let you know, there is an attack on the male.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's been.
They want to reduce the sperm count to not just 50% from 50 years ago, but to zero by 20 years from now.
And how to increase your testosterone? Work out on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. Get your growth hormone levels up, because
your growth hormone levels, they don't really get affected if you wake up. They're not producing.
If you eat right away, they're
at night. They're supposedly they kick in like at 4 a.m. So if you're waking up before that and you're not getting enough sleep,
that messes everything up.
It messes with your HGH levels.
Yeah, I mean that'll make you age faster, get sicker faster. But if you train on an empty stomach, you're going to increase your natural growth hormone production, and automatically your testosterone level is going to go up.
And a popular girl.
And I use Facebook for personal things, for example, to connect with my friends and such. I did have some interesting things happen to me on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy place, you know, Facebook, because I mean, there were people actually posting pictures of, hey, me and the kids or my wife are on vacation, friends and stuff, and it's like, whoa, you're telling people that you're not at home. I mean, it's like, or they put innocent pictures of their children up in a ring of child, pornography.
I know, it's crazy.
All
and then
pedophiles
and
people
steal your kids.
Yeah. So Macion says, is tranny a bad word for transgender people? Because trans people, it's like black people using the N-word.
Well, let me talk about that, because I've been in this community for quite a while, and I've actually worked with gender specialists who use that word as a word of endearment. Is this new age transsexual people or transgender people that get offended with everything and anything. But tranny was just a word. A lot of older trannies use that word. I mean,
it's a term of endearment,
but they've made it into a bad word. So it's all up to your mind frame.
Because the older trannies, like what's that woman that wears those funny those rose-colored spectacles? Glasses?
That was on I Am Kate.
She was on I Am Kate. I Am Jazz, or
no, I'm Kate.
I Am Kate.
Yeah.
All these different trans shows, or I Am.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, no,
I Am Jazz. I am Kate.
Yeah, they tried me. Yeah.
But
I forgot her name. Catherine. No, Katie. Kate something or another.
Kate something.
Yeah.
Well, Kate says that she knew that she would never be a woman. Mm-hmm. So.
And she regretted her surgery.
And
got cancer.
That she did, and cancer. But the point I was trying to make was that, Kate Bornstein.
Yeah.
Kate Bornstein.
Here we go.
Good job. Yeah, thank you. She is a person who gets it. I mean, she understands her place in society, and that place is not that of a woman.
Yeah.
She doesn't identify as a man per se.
Right.
In society, she's not seen as that, but she does operate in that beauty of her androgyny.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about.
And that's what it's really about.
So Patricia said, I think Mark and Linda meeting was miraculous, and everything they have been through made them who they are today. Teachers, thank you. Thank you so much.
We appreciate your wonderful words like that. Yeah. Mark and I have a crazy story, and we do have links to it on YouTube.
Yeah, and if you go to our Transition Radio blog, there is on the right side, you could have a little video that you made telling our story.
I did a video, and then we have our wedding and everything, and we really do love you guys. We really do want to make a difference in this world. We really want to, make the most out of what we did, and make our lives count,
And Cerberus Call says, Catherine, Willie, I know there are many deceptions.
Oh, yeah. And Jeannie says, I remember the show I Am Jazz about a transitioning teen trans male to female, and I was a little taken back. And Mark.
I brought that, I created that monster, that whole, back in, 2006, I was interviewed by New Times or Miami Times or something like that. And I spoke to the reporter about Jazz, because Jazz's mom, Jeanette, came to me. She saw me on the Maury Povey show, and she shared her story, and I met Jazz in one of my book signings. And so I connected the New Times reporter with their family, and then 2020 wanted to have them, and they kept bothering me because they didn't give their real name because they were afraid of what would happen. And long story short, I convinced, I wish I wouldn't have done that, the Jeanette and Greg is his name, to be on with Barbara Walters, and the rest is history. But that has been a total travesty. They got surgery, and
their current season is on right now, and Jazz had major complications.
She hasn't had a life. She hasn't been able to be a child. Her mother has been wanting to do this. I believe her mother has Munchausen syndrome, and her mother used to be a producer for a TV program, got fired, so Jazz was her project. Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't think good things are going to happen in the long term for Jazz.
Well, I'm looking at Jazz. There was an interview that Jazz recently did, and Jazz has gained all the weight back.
And she had complications with her surgery. She was in a lot of pain.
And that's what happens with trans people is that, the estrogen that they're on produces fat, basically, and it makes them like hungry all the time, always wanting to snack. And Jazz has a real food addiction problem.
As it is, yeah.
So now Jazz, after all the things have been done and every dopamine high can be had, and you had the surgery and everything, and you got the boobs and, this wonderful life, supposedly.
Right.
Now Jazz has to live.
Yeah. And then when it all hits you, like it happens to a lot of people, they get sick, they age. To me, it's amazing how, I was just looking at a picture yesterday of MTF that I interviewed, the MTF and the wife. Well, the wife left them because I guess the wife couldn't put up with, because a lot of MTFs are like teenagers, that have not matured. And I guess the wife couldn't put up with it. But I saw the picture, and it's been only like 3 years. They've gained so much weight, and they've aged like 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's the hormones.
Abby joins us. Hi, Abby. Could you do some YouTubes about being vegan and how to do it? I just started to work towards being a non-meat/animal products eater. It's just happening to me.
I've got, in the playlist, I've got sections that I did back in the day, because I've been a vegan for, almost 11 years now. And there's a lot of videos there that I have, like recipes and stuff like that I talk about eating, vegan. And there's also, we have a book link in our channel. But we try to put like a vegan section on our show and talk about different things regarding, if you listen to some of the past shows, you'll hear some of that as well.
Yeah. Meme says the Discord link expired. I'll put a new link to our Discord out there. But yeah, thank you for catching that for me. Yeah. We have to.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because sometimes they
expire.
Sometimes they expire. Macion, I have no trans history. Hope that's okay. I'm just nosy as hell.
We have nothing that we don't talk about.
There's nothing off limits.
Yeah. As long as it's respectful, we don't mind answering any questions.
Mason Mount has a question for you too, if you didn't get it. Who is the oldest, Ham says, who is the oldest recorded trans person in history?
Gosh.
Wasn't it that
the one that got the
British
surgery?
British trans person who
died?
Died.
Yeah.
She was like in her 80s, I think. But
I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's more.
The thing is that we've seen pictures of trans people as they age.
Not graceful.
It's not good.
Well, you're destroying your endocrine system. in your nervous system.
It's not good.
What can you? That's why I stopped foremost.
I mean, there are pictures. If you look it up, older trans people, just Google it. Many don't make it into old age. Many just don't. They don't live to tell about it because they're eaten up by cancer, pulmonary embolisms,
strokes, heart
attacks.
You name it. Everything's going to break down. You're putting synthetics in your body. It's like playing Russian roulette. One day that bullet's going to hit you. And Ham says he's 20. You should be in your prime.
Oh my gosh. You shouldn't even be worried about it.
I know.
I mean, what?
But you know what? This day and age,
really
though.
that?
Yeah, but this day and age.
A 20-year-old.
Yeah, this day and age is pretty
My
bad.
son is 21.
Yeah.
My oldest. I mean, 20 and concerned about low testosterone?
Yeah, but it's happening though, man.
Wow.
It's in the
I'm
vaccines.
so sorry, Ham.
It's in the vaccines. It's
my gosh.
they're trying to create gender swap. That's what they're doing.
Oh. It's not just gender swap. They're trying to create genderless.
Genderless, yeah.
Genderless.
Yeah, genderless.
Like,
and
so that
infertile people.
These young people can't produce. They can't produce.
And creating a lot of infertility.
Humans.
A lot of infertility. That's right, Anti-Popular Girl. This is an open community where open discussions and free thoughts are encouraged.
Absolutely. Carmen Morgado. I used to take a lot of selfies, but got rid of my cell phone for health reasons.
Yeah. It's like, I used to sleep near it, and now I'll put it away from me because at night when you have that stuff on you, it's not good. It doesn't let you sleep, because that radiation is constantly going.
Patricia says, Maison Mount, I am a 65-year-old hetero grandmother, and I feel welcome here.
And we love you, and we love your input.
Yes, we do. That is so cool.
Yeah, totally.
To know that we have a grandma
and it's
watching our show.
I know. It's awesome.
That's great.
And yes, symbols are magic
sigils.
Sigils.
It's like they're trigger things, right? I mean, it's like you see the sign from McDonald's. You think it's just McDonald's. But first of all, it's red, it's yellow, it's got that arch and stuff. There's something that's happening to your subconscious, I mean, it just is inevitable.
It is, totally.
Right?
So Gail says, group consciousness is very powerful. That's where the damage in movements come from. Without knowledge of the slogans and symbols, can change it at any time, though.
Yeah, like the Mandela effect, they can flip things around. People think, oh, time travel, that's nothing possible and stuff. It's like, look, if Hollywood's talking about it,
it's happening.
It can be done.
It can be done. I mean, I believe that these Anunnaki gods is us in future. There's all sorts of weird stuff.
Jeannie
like
Rose.
I use natural deodorant because I'm allergic to aluminum. Yes. Aluminum is very damaging. A lot of people have gotten tremendous rashes and then cyst type ordeals underneath, and you've got your lymph nodes down there. So it's very dangerous.
Ham says he uses lime as deodorant.
It's good.
Smell limey.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you just want to because the reason people smell is because bacteria develops. It's not even the sweat. It's only if you have bacteria in your sweat. So they're like the rock.
Meat.
Yeah, anytime you eat any animal product, what you're leaching out from what you're eating. But if you're clean and hormone levels are balanced and good, then there's no reason for stinkies.
April joins us. Hi,
Hey,
April. Hey, sweeties, and all you wonderful peoples, all my relations.
Yes.
That's a saying for April.
Yes, all my
relations.
Yes, that's very cool. Indigenous.
That's awesome.
Native type world, because they believe that everyone's.
We are all family.
Yes, and we are.
No matter what race.
Yep.
Color, creed.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So let's read a little more.
Number 9, the emoji agenda. Recently, Facebook has added emoticon icons to reaction buttons for posts. This, of course, is based on research that proves people who can't communicate can't lead themselves or others because they can't find the proper wording to get their points across. The research also shows that people who can't express themselves with language are always easier to control and even more prone to violence. By using an emoticon reaction to a post, Instead of explaining exactly how you're feeling with words, you self-murder the part of yourself charged with expressing your emotions and thoughts with any precision.
Emoticons are designed to dumb down the slave class even more, throwing them down the evolutionary ladder to the status of drooling troll, making them unable to communicate or describe exactly how they're feeling, and more importantly, eliminate any sort of deep thought process by which a slave can rally themselves or other slaves against the tyrannical control of the slave master. By controlling the emoji button on the screen, you control the emotional spectrum of the participant. Use your mind and bring it out of the abyss by expressing your emotions with words and not by psyop emotications or human farmers set up to use. This is very similar to what is called the SpongeBob SquarePants effect, a similar agenda to destroy communication skills in children. And I think they've already done that very well. I think that today's youth, they can't give change worth a damn if they're working at any restaurant or whatever, and they're a cashier. They don't know how to communicate. They teach you this whole texting thing where people just kind of like abbreviate everything.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, the English language has like people that would use more vocabulary to describe things in a conversation. Just crack open a book from the 1860s or 1800s compared to books written now.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of words the variety of words to use to describe things, to, interject in conversation has really regressed in this country to the point where people think slang is how we converse, So I think it's really interesting, because we think we're getting all modern, but we're actually just becoming more and more controllable and limited in our abilities, So, it's crazy, isn't it?
It is. It totally is. So let's see here. So April had an input regarding the word trannies and tried to keep it from, it's if you love your friend and they call you a tranny, give them the benefit of the doubt and do not think only of yourself, my take. It's true. And it's like, I don't know, April, if like, that's a word that's been around forever and it was never offensive before. It's just recently, in the past maybe 5 years, that it became offensive.
It was a term of affection.
Yeah, it's like, hey, how's my tranny doing? Or,
how are my tranny friends?
Exactly.
Just take a look at Kate Bornstein's book that she wrote.
Yeah.
She talks about it.
It was a word of endearment. No one used it. Now they're like, well, whenever somebody's beating me up, they use that word. Well, it's not the word that's beating you up. It's the fist. And it's the whatever situation you got yourself into that made that happen. We can't blame words for violence, and it's like.
So Ham is asking, do you guys entertain the idea that wanting to be gay or transsexual might be a mental illness?
It is actually a mental illness, and it stems from childhood trauma. It stems from environmental stimulation that happened in childhood. Many people in the trans community have personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. They have dissociative disorders, a slew. There's been a lot of studies done regarding that. Not to say that every single trans person has a mental illness, but they have neurological impairment. They suffer from Asperger, autism. There's a slew of different things.
Yeah, there's so many childhood traumas and things that we deal with, that sometimes are just put into like this volcanic burial ground, but it's still very active underneath the ground. So if we're not able to deal with the realities that we have to face because of whatever trauma that we're dealing with or don't want to deal with, or if we come from a family that basically has taught us that the best thing to do is to turn your cheek and to brush things under the carpet so that you don't have to look at it.
Exactly.
That's what a lot of parents are doing. They just they see their child struggling with something. They just want to brush whatever they're dealing with, especially our generation.
Yeah. And I've also noticed that there's a lot of antisocial skills and there's a lot of lack of coping skills. and all are based on neurological impairment. So one thing feeds into another thing, but mostly Asperger personality disorder. You're dealing with neurological issues. You're dealing with just a slew of different things. How severe it is depends on person to person. OCD, that's something I'm plagued with, or have. I don't want to use the word plague. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Rumination in your head, you repeat things in your head, until you figured it out, and things of that nature.
I mean,
Thank you for asking.
If you're 20, you're probably dealing with some kind of neurological impairment yourself, because they've pumped you full of vaccines from a young age. They have basically kind of dictated to you the world that you're supposed to live in by feeding you into this system and teaching you to not think for yourself. Exactly. I mean, when I was a kid, if you wanted to know how to get to any location, you had a map. You learn how to read a map. Now it's just, what does Google say? And then you're just like looking at it, and you're lost in your own neighborhood because you don't even know, you're not even aware. It teaches you to not be aware of your surroundings, right? Totally. You're just not present in your world because the world is in your virtual reality phone.
Exactly. So Anti-Popular Girl stepped out, and she says, she's using her DU recorders, and I guess she's sharing our live stream.
Yeah. Catherine says, Lynn and Mark, you are making a great happening. You truly do love us all. I see it every time I see videos of yours. I truly feel your love. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You both helped me to stay on that path we are on. Awesome.
Awesome. I appreciate your support, and we love you, Catherine.
Absolutely. And I think she's up in Alaska.
Alaska? Yeah, I think she mentioned something
She lives off grid, sort of. So whenever we need to bug out.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I don't know if I want to go to Alaska.
No, it's too cold.
Cold.
We're going to bug out. Let's bug out in
a tropical
place.
Tropical place. And Unpopular Girl. If you check out the video later on my page, would like to remove that. Just let me know. So she said it. Hey, all right, Zeus. Zupet.
Being vegan for me was a huge game changer. Lost 80 pounds and look 15 years younger.
Yes.
It's the way. It's the fountain of youth. If people only realize that. Yeah, it's the fountain of youth. Totally.
Right.
Hey, Derek.
Oldest trans person in history will not be known. It was protected. Hoover's cross-dressing was hidden. Oh, Herbert Hoover.
Okay.
So the first one was most likely powerful and hidden. I think, what was it, the JFK movie by Oliver Stone alluded to that.
Yeah.
It alluded to some kind of upper level, high government type activity with cross-dressing, and it's like, it was almost like a pastime of the elite. People, right. And that's the thing though, here in the United States, it's so pervasive in the Western world because we have a society that is a lot more endowed with wealth than, say, a third world country. It's not going to be as common in Africa.
Harry Benjamin was one of the ones that first introduced the surgeries and really got that. And that was back in 35, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That nature. But I'm sure that prior to that, there was a lot of experimentation because there's always been this fascination with these Frankenstein doctors to alter people's genitals and their sex. It's like this whole perverted type of thing,
Derek says, you can never, with a capital Never, ever remove the X or Y, no matter what. Right. No matter what you do, baby.
I know, and I have no problem with that.
With the beard.
Yeah, I'm not the one.
It doesn't matter.
I don't have any problem with that. I'm very, very happily tell everyone I am a woman.
Yeah. So.
Just a very bushy one, but I am a woman.
And if you don't want to believe him or her, it's your thing. Yeah. But you can't remove it. Just like a male can't have his prostate removed without having, death happen.
Yeah, they haven't removed any prostates with any of those sex reassignment surgeries.
And then they say that, I actually climax like a woman because my G spot, and
No, it's called your prostate.
it's called a prostate.
Yeah.
Now you can access it better because there's a cavern that's been
created. And actually a lot of them have that
And
damage.
I don't want to be offensive to April or anybody.
Right.
You know, but I mean, it's definitely something that personally I just think that it's a wound that a body a male body wants to close.
Yeah.
You know, it just.
But everybody's entitled to do what they want. We don't recommend it, but all respect for those that have ventured to it. It's quite the surgery, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot to heal from it. And
all right, Ham says.
I like you guys. Honestly, came here to troll, but you guys are woke and you have a lot of knowledge and are reasonable. Real talk. Thank you, Ham.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's why I wanted to give you a chance.
Yeah.
I don't like to just, kick people out because, we all learn from one another. And I hope that, we've been able to be of some help for you and you've helped us.
Yeah,
you've helped
absolutely. Catherine Zupet, my first week not eating meat. I'm learning so much here. Very helpful info.
Good job, Catherine.
Awesome, Catherine.
Good job. Good job.
That's awesome.
And Patricia says, take a look at pre-code movies from 1929 to 1934. You will see lots of males playing females.
Yes.
That's something that was done even in Greek times.
Yeah, but
because women weren't allowed to be part of the theater.
But I remember watching Some Like It Hot, Marilyn Monroe, and another couple of male actors, and they were, doing that whole thing where they were becoming women at a club and to escape from the gangs that they were, the mafia that was after them or something, the Chicago gangs. And it was like a joke. It was like funny, but all along it was instilling stuff. And it, for me, early on, Little Rascals, I mean, they played with the gender thing back then on Little Rascals. And here I am, an impressionable little kid sitting there and watching and going, okay.
Yeah, that's what they do. They've been at this for the longest time.
So
this is not something that just sprung up. It's slowly but surely. They're defeminizing females and they're feminizing males, and then they're putting stuff on TV, and then they're changing the chemicals, and then.
But for me, it was that game that they were playing, right? Mm-hmm. So they plant seeds of those types, and then for other people, they plant other seeds for them. People that deal with a lot of sexual addictions and stuff like that. They plant seeds in there for them, or some other issue.
It's all mind control. It's all mind control. And Jenny says she's a grandma. Awesome, Jenny.
She said her name was Jeanette, actually.
Jeanette, okay.
Yeah, earlier.
And hey, Teen, thank you for joining us.
Teen's been watching us for a while.
Yeah.
Thank you, Teen. Hi there, Jeannie. I'm a Grandma Patty. Yeah. I love you, Derek. Catherine says.
Yes, baking soda is very good. I use that a lot when for brushing my teeth with the hydrogen peroxide. So
Derek says, love you, Catherine.
Yes.
Awesome. Love the love.
Yes,
love all the hearts here.
Yes.
Catherine, well, I've been vegan, Zupet says, for 8 years. I'm 54, like you, babe.
I'm 54 also.
Google is our friend regarding vegan recipes.
Oh, there's tons. There's so much. And there's so many YouTube videos out there,
And you know what? It doesn't have to be boring, really, because once you clean your palate out,
oh gosh,
it doesn't really matter what you put in your bowl.
And we don't even use salad dressing. We have a bunch of different greens with grains. Like today we had barley and we had lentils and all sorts of vegetables. A lot of the different bitter greens and regular greens and tomato and peppers and a whole bunch of stuff. And then
we literally just go to the store and go to our local organic food store.
Yeah, everything's organic and mostly local, and it's
And we just pick whatever is, affordable.
Yeah.
Whatever's on sale. Mm-hmm. Whatever that catches our eye, and it's like, you just mix it up, and I mean, it's like I just made some temp, okay? I bought the packet of tofurkey, cut it in little dice cubes, threw it into the air fryer, no seasoning whatsoever, threw it in there for 15 minutes.
Nice and
cooks
crispy.
up nice and nice and crispy, and it's like why do people need meat?
They
You know?
don't. They
And then we
don't.
just got some Beyond Beef burgers.
Oh yeah,
They were on
special.
sale for $5.
Yeah.
So now we have 4 of them, right?
Yeah,
And we just eat one patty.
Yeah, and we cut it in half. Because we put so much stuff on the salad, it's just overkill. All right, so basically, there's a lot more in this article, but I'm just going to wrap this particular article up because time is a-ticking. By doing this, you can govern the population by doing what Facebook is doing through pleasure and dopamine release. And it's not just Facebook. We can't just pick on Facebook. That's everything that's been used in the internet, on TV, which is the primary ruling family principle for tyranny controlling the public through an emotional and psychic dictatorship. Give them coffee, nicotine, alcohol, sugar, fluoride, painkillers, tranquilizers, and antidepressants, opiates, narcotics, junk food, and of course, only give them the happiest Facebook posts, plus unlimited internet porn and other types of tantalizing media to keep them smiling ear to ear and fully lobotomized inside the slave camp.
This way, the slave camp is well decorated with positive emotions, plus the illusion of freedom is well fortified inside the mind. Pavlovian psychology applied to herd behavior and herd control. Learn what else Facebook does to control your mind. If there's a post that's truthful and available and valuable, hit the like button only. So, yeah, I think you want to address this. Amanda Reno is asking, are you saying that lesbians have mental illness?
No, I never said that lesbians have mental illness. I said that a lot of transgender individuals have neurological impairment. They've been noted to have personality disorders. This is not my saying. These are studies that are out there. And we will have a show on that because I have a whole slew of studies that I found. Some lesbians may have mental disorders and depression and may suffer from many different things because they could have been sexually molested. I identified as a lesbian from the time I was 13 till I was 38 and I transitioned. I've been with many different women and a lot of them did have emotional issues. I think a lot of people this day and age have mental issues.
I mean, most people do.
Yeah.
And, it's not illness as much as it is dysfunction. Something is broken that needs fixing. And only by going in deep within ourselves to find these answers can we find those solutions. So no one is saying that it's like, oh, they're mentally sick people, gay people are mentally sick.
Actually, there's a lot of studies.
But I'm saying, I don't want to come across as being offensive
No, not at all.
to people. It's a dysfunction of their ability to cope with certain things. There are many lesbians that have a mommy wound, or that have a daddy wound, or their brother sexually molested them, or the guy down the street, or the kid down the street. So there are different things. The little boy may have been abused by his father, at the age of like 6 or something, and he turns out to be gay because of it, because he's looking for that father figure and that love that he didn't have, and stuff. So there are so many different reasons and stuff, and we don't want to
I know.
across as
I don't think we did. But I'm just saying that if she is looking for statistics and answer, there have been a lot of research done that do state that there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of personality disorders, there's a lot of different things that take place. This is not something that we're...
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
If you don't want to agree with the fact that there are lots of mental issues happening within the LGBT, you would be fooling yourself, because this community attracts that. It's like the island of misfit toys, where everybody, as long as you respect my decision,
exactly,
and you respect my decision, then we can all coexist together.
And it's important to be able to talk about it without getting defensive and without getting all... it's like reality is reality. There are things that happen in this world, unfortunately. I mean, like I said, I've been in this community since I was 13 years old. I've had a lot of gay male friends, very depressive, very anxious, have had to take expulsive, a slew of different things. Now, is it because of the way they were treated, or just because of they have neurological impairments? I mean, who came first, the chicken or the egg? We don't know that. It's important to talk about it, though, and it's important to really look into it, and it's important for people in the LGBT community to get the help that they need to prevent the suicide, to prevent them harming themselves, and so forth and so on. But yeah, there's plenty of articles, and all you have to do is Google it. It's there.
Jeanette says my grandson is autistic. They say by the year 2032, 1 in every 2 children will be autistic. Now, don't think that this isn't a sadistic plan to destroy children, to destroy humans, to destroy, the fabric of society, which is the human being. It's really concerning.
This is something. How do mental health conditions affect the LGBT community? LGBT individuals are almost 3 times more likely than others to experience a mental health condition such as major depression or generalized anxiety disorder. This fear of coming out and being discriminated against for sexual orientation and gender identities can lead to depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, thoughts of suicide, and substance abuse. And we see a lot of substance abuse in the LGBT community.
Patricia Rebark says, I was in a mental institution for 2 months in 1977. One of my co-prisoners was in just for being a gay man. Yeah. Just for being a gay man. Because up until the late 70s, being gay was clinically diagnosed as a mental illness and sickness. It was taken out of the DSM eventually, but that's how they classified it. Mm-hmm. So that's why he was in there.
Wow. So I thought Patricia was a grandmother.
She did. She was, but it was in 1977, so it was a long, long time ago.
Oh, okay. No, but just for being a gay man. I'm confused. Oh, one of her co-prisoners. Oh, okay. I'm like going, wait a minute, Patricia, I thought you were a woman and a grandmother. Okay, my bad. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so Catherine said, April, we'll be trying this soon. Kind of hard when your home power from solar power must conserve.
Hi, Jim and KJ.
Hey, thank you for joining us.
Is it Jim or is it KJ? I guess sometimes one of them listens.
It's usually Jim.
Oh, Jim.
Jim. I was going to say, it's usually Jim, yeah.
Right, Catherine, hear you. Oops. That's all right. You are a family now. You speak how you see fit. Life is learning.
Yeah.
Milton Berle? What? I didn't hear. Oh, Cyberskull says, devolution.
Totally. That's what's taking place. And notice that everybody's always wearing their feelings on their sleeve. They're wanting to be combative. Are you saying that? And it's like, chill out. Hold on your horses. I'm not. I didn't pull this stuff out of my. I do a lot of research. Lots of research. You have to when you have a daily show, and it's always been something a passion of mine to learn about conditions, special conditions that have affected me. So
Jeanette says Milton Berle used to cross dress a lot. I just showed my age, LOL. That's all right.
That's okay.
That's all right. Gail Single, males dressed as women in Hollywood. It's also part of the indoctrination into much more sinister things. Humiliation.
Totally. I mean, there's so many cross-dressing movies. Mrs. Doubtfire, what's the one?
Gosh, we just watched the latest Halloween.
Oh yeah.
And the kid was dressed as,
Patrick Swayze did one.
Yes, Patrick Swayze. They did Tu Wong Fu.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's so many. It's just slowly been.
Tootsie was a big one. Yeah. Bosom Buddies, Tom Hanks, Peter Scolari, and ABC for a while.
And Jenny says she's almost 60.
Yes, an air fryer. Yes, it is an electric thing.
Yes.
It is.
It is.
Ask Lucid, the only trolls that should be on here are kind, cutie, cuddly ones like the dolls in the stores. Can it go on a stovetop?
No, unfortunately. No, I don't think so because it's generated. What all the air fryer is, it's got like a hot plate on the inside and it blows air.
Yeah.
So you put it and it makes things cook really fast and really crispy.
Catherine says, Zupet said, "Oh my God, air fryer is one of the best inventions."
We love it. It's like we own a Hitachi and an air fryer.
We don't even use the stove very often.
We don't hardly ever use the stove.
To do potatoes, maybe.
Maybe to boil the potatoes before we put them in the air fryer.
Before we put them in the air fryer, make them crispy.
Yeah.
Without oil.
Yep. That's awesome stuff.
So, Zupet didn't have a TV for over 14 years. You didn't miss much.
No.
Haven't seen much advertising. Where do you find an air fryer?
You could probably get it online, and I wouldn't recommend going to Walmart, but Walmart has them. And Amazon has them, and I'm sure.
Catherine says, I do have a 2,000 watt generator. Some things are worth running on it. I try not to use it much. Costs money for gas.
Yeah, it won't take you long, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is that you're cooking, like potatoes and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, Bob Hope.
Oh, yeah.
You were talking about cross-dressing.
Yeah.
You know, there were so many episodes growing up that I remember, you know, that had characters. Fantasy Island had one episode talking about like a man who came to live his fantasy, and guess what the fantasy was?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's innate because we all have a male and a female side. So it's like that, you know, forbidden pleasure type of thing where you want to, like, you know, test that other part of you. And it's part of the awakening. The two will become one. We both have a male and a female side. We all have a male and a female side inside of us. Is learning how to balance those two energy. That's all it is. It's energy. It's not about the clothes you wear. It's not about the gender marker that you put on your license when you transition. It's about the energy, the yin and the yang, balancing those two, and that's how you'll become a happier person.
And it's not about thinking that you can do this. You know.
Yeah. This is all a byproduct of childhood trauma, sexually molestation, abusive, alcoholic father, a mother that was narcissistic, and all sorts of different things, you know, and it led to what it is today.
Mark just told you his story, and his story involved being able to create a persona to protect the little girl that was assaulted and hiding inside that safety.
So whenever I get a comment like that, are you saying that? I'm like, actually I am.
Yeah.
Because if you really look into it and you really are truthful with yourself, there's a reason why we do what we do. We may not want to admit it. It's hard. I know it's hard to admit it. But if we really want to heal and we really want to go in, it doesn't mean that you can't continue to like women. You know, I believe the entire human race is bisexual. You could fall in love with whoever you want to fall in love with. But sometimes the paths we take, you know, whether it's taking drugs, whatever it is based on hurt. We're hurting. And it's okay to admit that we're hurting. You got to put that ego aside.
So KJ is also listening in.
That's awesome.
Ham said, would you guys recommend eating meat if it's 100% natural caught in the wild? Thank you for sharing wisdom.
No, not at all. I mean, it doesn't matter if, you know, you raise it yourself. You're still eating suffering because you're going to kill that animal for your pleasure. And they really deserve the right to live. Watch a movie called Earthlings or Food Inc. After you watch those two films, tell me if you still feel like eating animal products. It's really, in order for us to grow and heal the karma that we've created, we need to stop consuming animal products. We need to stop killing. Thou shalt not kill. And that includes animals as well. And even though we're not doing it yourself, you're paying somebody to do it for you.
But it's 100% natural out in the wild.
It doesn't matter. You're being facetious, right? Okay.
Of course. I mean, I wouldn't touch meat anymore if they paid me.
Yeah, it's hard.
You know, because I know,
I have one.
You know, the reality is that meat does things to your body.
Yeah,
meat is very difficult to digest. The body really doesn't know what to do with it. A lot of times meat parts get stuck in our long intestinal tract. And that's why people are getting cancer these days. My dad died of colorectal cancer. That was directly a result, partially, of eating so much meat that he obviously had issues with it getting stuck in his intestines. So, yeah.
So Jeannie says she has an air fryer, and Catherine's going to go to Walmart, which is 400 miles round trip from home, to get an air fryer. You're going to love it. Whoa. You're going to totally love it. And April says, for me, Lena,
the process was the way I found a better balance. I'm still on the road, on the red road, indigenous, of healing. As a two-spirit, I recognize both my male and female aspects. I am two-spirit.
And my two-spirit honors your two-spirit.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I honor you,
Yes.
April.
I see you, April.
Yes.
And that's what we need to learn, is how to see each other. Not our exterior, not how pretty we look, our insides. That's what we need to learn to see, because that is healing for all of us.
Yes. Yes. We are absolutely resonating with the indigenous call of healing, for our species. And, it wasn't too long ago before, European aggression and stuff came over the United States that, the two-spirit was able to be recognized and honored and respected. And the two-spirit didn't need to take hormones, didn't need to, say, two spirits are women. There wasn't a fight in the tribe. Two spirits had their place in society, in the tribe. They fulfilled their role, their given place. So, yeah, I totally believe you.
All right. So
Catherine says, Ham, I hunted moose, spruce chicken, and wild fish. They all have a heart. Meat hurts my gut bad.
It does. It destroys your body. It's not meant to be in there. And Gail says it's better energy if you catch and kill it yourself than eat someone that we have expected someone else to do it for us.
Well, that's one way of saying...
You could always just run around before you collect the fruit and vegetables and pretend that you're chasing something that's a lot healthier for you and the planet and for that poor little animal whose mother could have been killed because of somebody's wanting to eat.
The key word here is kill it.
Yeah.
That's the key
word. Thou
word.
shalt not kill.
Because we're killing something to bring pleasure to us.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of food out there, to eat.
These days, the way things are, they're making foods that are, and just eating regular, like vegetables and fruits and oats and grains and,
there's so much
all
stuff.
These things when your palate has been cleaned of all the filth, of the sugars that you crave and everything, once your body resets itself to a place where it can actually, appreciate what is natural, then you don't have any craving. Like, I don't have any craving
None whatsoever.
for like chicken wings.
Nothing. I don't crave anything.
I just don't. What about Eskimos in Nunavut?
Just to figure out
I'm sorry. Where no crops grow, no fruits and vegetables or grains, only meat to survive.
That's a very rare situation, and I believe that was something that happened when there was an earth shift and we got the ice age, and that's one of the reasons we began to eat animal product, was to survive. But how many situations do people face like that, really? People...
Ham, with a name like Ham, it's like if you're vegan and you're living up there...
You wouldn't live there if you were a vegan.
You die, is true, but see, we're trying to get to the place where we need to eat less food, because it doesn't even matter if it's good food. It doesn't matter if it's a carrot. It doesn't matter if it's oatmeal. It's still causing free radicals to build inside your body, right? It's still...
it causes you to age. Yeah, it causes you to age. So the less you eat, we only do one meal a day. And the less you eat, the more your body stays young, the more growth hormone your body produces, the healthier you will become. All right. So it used to be a belief that you need a breakfast, right?
Yes.
Everybody used to say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, guess what? Eating breakfast may not help you lose weight, study says. Contrary to some weight loss advice, a new study shows that people who eat breakfast did not slim down. CNN says if you're trying to lose weight, you've probably been told not to skip breakfast as it could make you hungrier later in the day.
But a new analysis found that people who ate breakfast regularly consumed more calories each day, and those who skipped it didn't even have an increased appetite later in the day. This meant that those who ate breakfast experienced zero weight loss, and people who skipped their morning meal also saw no weight gain, according to the research published Wednesday in the BMJ.
And one of the reasons, because intermittent fasting works like that. Like there's different ways of intermittent fasting, but a lot of people, they don't eat breakfast, and their first meal is usually 1 o'clock, and then they have another meal at 6. The key is to eat before the sun goes down, and just have the 2 meals. We only do 1 because there's a gradual uptake on that. But the less you eat, the less hungry you are. The more you eat, the hungrier you are, because your stomach you're training it, and your insulin level spikes up. And the more insulin you have in your bloodstream, the hungrier you're going to be. Public health agencies and official eating guidelines have long stressed the importance of eating breakfast to lose weight and achieve a healthy diet. But this study clearly shows this isn't a good idea, said lead author Dr. Flavia Cisultini, professor of epidemiology at Monash University of Melbourne, Australia.
I think it's interesting also that, if you go to McDonald's, I used to eat McDonald's, right? And you get their 10-piece nuggets, fries, and an orange drink. That was my drink. That was what I got. So after I had that, I was still hungry. If I had a Big Mac, I was still hungry. The fact is that a lot of this food, the body is not recognizing it as food, and it passes itself off as food. But what in reality is happening is that your body is storing some foreign substance, like the pink goo that they call chicken McNuggets, or, the fact that, those fries that McDonald's sells, if you stick them on the counter for like a month, they don't even attract anything. Any life will not come to it.
So Catherine says, oh my goodness, run around before you chop the carrots out of the garden. I love your sense of humor, Mark. Thank you, Catherine.
Neanderthal for thousands of years.
There's a lot of research done, because this whole paleo diet and the keto diet, and it's all been proven that all those diets are horrible for you. Maybe Neanderthal man after the Ice Age had no choice, but we do now. We do have a choice. There's a big selection, and it's proven, the science is out there, that a vegan plant-based diet is the healthiest diet around. You've got to know what to eat. You can't be eating Oreos and Doritos just because they're vegan. You have to know what kind of foods to eat. But if you want to stay young, you want to stay away from diseases and cancers and all sorts of stuff, then a plant-based diet is something we highly recommend. The choice is all yours. We're not telling you what to eat. We would prefer that you guys, as spiritually awakened truth seekers, would take the next level, the next step, and that is to clean your temple and to put in your body the right kind of foods that's going to allow you to stay at that beautiful, resonated spiritual path that you all are on.
Catherine Willie says, Ham, I know a lot of vegan friends who live in Alaska, in the Alaska wild, and they aren't dead yet.
There's so much stuff. There's grains, there's beans, there's rice, and I'm sure they have stuff shipped in, vegetables and stuff shipped in.
Patricia says, coffee is the most important meal of my morning.
Well, we do have coffee. We buy our organic coffee. What kind did we get today when we went shopping? It was really good from somewhere, fair trade. They have it in bulk in our co-op. It was so good.
It was good. Mickey D's makes me sick, Jeanette says. April says,
we honor the animal, take responsibility for it by ingesting it and using its life essence to make a better life. I don't eat meat, but there are circumstances it's important not to be dogmatic. And like I said earlier, everyone does what they need to do. We personally do not promote it. We're plant-based, we're vegans, and we want the best for all of you, but it's ultimately up to you what you're going to eat. We're not going to judge you for it.
No, we understand that people are on different degrees of awakening and stuff, and you guys, it's your journey, it's your life, and we're not responsible for you. All we're saying and all we're doing is sharing what we've learned. And, they're just suggestions. They're not mandates. Right. So, Jim and KJ, and this is something I always thought too, are foods really gluten-free? And where was this gluten-free 20 plus years ago?
I think what happens is people get a lot of stuff in their intestines. Intestines have a lot of little folds. And what they need is a good enema or a few of them to get all that stuff out, do a fast for 3 or 4 days, and it's almost like hitting the restart button. You're not going to be allergic to that stuff again. And then buy stuff that's whole grain. Don't buy stuff that's, like hidden with all sorts of chemicals and stuff in it. I think the high corn fructose syrup, just stuff that they put in there that you can't even pronounce. That's what's causing the problems.
Yeah, phenylalanine.
Oh, I know, all sorts of weird stuff.
Weird names. So all the prescription medicines and stuff, they have like this really easy name, but the actual clinical name is like this really long. Yep. So that's how you know that it's bad for you.
I know. If it's too much ingredients into something, then...
What do you guys eat for protein? Tofu? Well, actually, we do eat tofu. Amazingly, tofu can be very, very tasty because it's not the tofu. Mm-hmm. It's like the base for the texture.
Yeah, it's the same thing as whatever you're seasoning it with.
Basically, whatever you season it with. It's like a piece of chicken. If you eat a piece of chicken raw, well, you can't. You'll get sick.
And that's the ultimate question that everybody, where do you get your protein? Well, protein's in everything. Food combination, beans and rice has proteins. All sorts of vegetables and fruits have protein. You don't need as much protein as they're making people out to believe. We're actually made out of carbon. Okay? We're not meant to have protein. That's why people age and get old and get sick. We're overeating protein. You only need 20 to 30 grams of protein, and that's a cinch to get in a plant-based diet. So, you don't even have to have none of those tofu or tempeh if you don't want to, and you still get your daily protein need just by combining all the fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And we're carbon-based. We're not, actually I wrote something, there was something on Facebook that I shared today that I got from somebody by the name of Alex. He's a vegan as well. And it like really made, maybe go ahead and...
all right, I'll read.
Yeah, go ahead and read, and then I'll see if I can find those.
Cicottini's team pooled results from 13 clinical trials from high-income countries, mainly the United States and the UK from the last 28 years. The studies included people who regularly eat breakfast and non-breakfast eaters. 5 trials included overweight participants. The remaining had people with any range of body weight. Some trials looked at how breakfast affected on a daily energy intake, and others examined the relationship between eating in the morning and changes in the body weight.
So we are carbohydrate-based beings, not nitrogen, protein-based. I think it's time for this protein myth to fade away because it's causing nothing but problems and sickness. And that's the little... You guys see that? The little emoji, C, carbon, that's what we're actually made from. So that's why people get cancer, get sick, they die, all sorts of stuff. The researchers found that people who eat breakfast tend to have an average of 260 calories a day extra, and they tend to be heavier. Cicottini said, regardless of the participants being used to having regular breakfast or not, people that skip breakfast were on an average 0.44 kilogram, which is 0.97 pounds, lighter according to the paper.
The results suggest that eating breakfast contributes to weight gain simply because you're eating more calories, according to Cicottini. The clinical trials show that if people are encouraged to eat breakfast, they still eat more calories than they should later in the day, she said. However, she added the latest findings should be interpreted with caution because some of the 13 trials used in their study didn't last long, and the quality of the trials varied.
See, one of the things is your body's set on cycles, and I'm sure back in the day when we didn't have stores and we didn't eat first thing, we didn't have a refrigerator, we didn't have stores, we had to find our food. I mean, our DNA is based on primal time, so it's like, You had to go gather your food. You know, it wasn't like first thing you got up and ate. Well, if you have to go to work and you get up at 7 in the morning, that's eating first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, your body's you're killing yourself. Digestion takes up so much of your energy. That's why people age and they're always tired and they're sick, because eating takes a lot of calories to eat and burn out. You're like really putting your body through a lot. Okay. Watching calories. I think the key to weight loss is the number of calories you eat. I don't quite believe that. I believe in macronutrients, but you know, for the sake of this article, people who always eat breakfast shouldn't be discouraged from doing so, she said, but overweight people who eat breakfast should be encouraged to count the calories they consume during the morning and see how they fit it with the rest of their meals throughout the day.
The Association of UK Dietitians recommends that 20 to 25% of people's daily nutritional requirements should come from their breakfast. Whatever.
Right, well, that's what the UK dietitian. I would never listen to a dietitian. I used to have arguments with every dietitian that I ever worked in hospitals or nursing home because they were killing my patients, literally.
Cicottini told CNN, the belief breakfast helps people better metabolize food and leaves them less hungry throughout the day stems from earlier observational studies, adding that it was possible that people who ate breakfast had other healthy habits like exercising. You know, here's the reason breakfast is so important. Because General Mills and the Kellogg's family,
yeah,
and
the muffin people, and
Betty Crocker,
the eggs company,
Duncan Hines,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
They want you to think
eat.
that.
They need to sell their products.
Yeah.
And then they need to make you sick, so then Big Pharma could give you the pill to make you better.
The people that make Pop-Tarts, they need your money.
Yeah.
They want, you know, that's why they said Wheaties is the breakfast of champions, because their GMO Wheaties makes them lots of money, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at the cereal aisle these days, oh gosh, and you notice how much money it costs to buy Fruit Loops and Cap'n Crunch, which I loved, and Corn
That's
Flakes.
What literally when she was driving to meet me, I said, "What do you eat for breakfast?" She said,
Captain Crunch.
I'm like, what are you, 5?
He said, what should I buy you to stick in the cupboard? Well, can you get me some sweet tarts?
I'm like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? And here I am, a healthy eater, and I was like, oh, I don't think this is going to work.
But I said, I'm willing to change. I just didn't know how
drastically you were going.
Drastic the change is going to be.
But you look heck of a lot better than you did when you came to me.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. But the whole thing is eating broccoli.
Now she eats it.
I looked at it the first day that you put it on my plate. I was like, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And today.
Yeah, today is like that.
Okay, today.
So there's hope, people.
I'm looking at broccoli. It's raw, which is how I like it the best. And I'm looking at the cauliflower. And I'm like, wow, I'm really loving cauliflower. You know, broccoli and cauliflower are pretty much the same.
Same texture.
They're just a different color.
Yeah.
It's a stem. It looks like a brain. And now I love broccoli.
Yeah, there you go. And we got it on
special.
Maybe
green beans are next.
And we'll eat them raw. Because they're good
because they're snappy, crunchy. Yeah. Previous research has shown weight loss benefits of sticking to a morning meal. One 2013 study looked at people who ate the same amount of calories, but one group consumed the bulk of the calories earlier in the day. I think one of the misnomers about that word, calorie, is like, what is a calorie, Mark?
It's just to count for energy, you know.
So not every calorie is the same, you would say. I mean, if you're eating something.
We're looking at grams of micronutrients like protein, carbs, and fats. Calories is just a measure of energy.
Right.
So it's like filling up your gas tank. You know, people gain, if you eat 3,500 calories, you're going to gain a pound.
Because we were counting calories last year when we were doing the keto diet. We were counting how many of the macronutrients, what we needed, what we had to get. And we were so obsessed with it, and come to realize that, you know, all that obsession leads to nothing but stress.
Right.
You know.
That's why I've never really counted, only when we did that keto, because I wasn't used to eating that way, and I was trying or whatever, and it was a flop.
It showed that people who ate a big breakfast lost 2.5 times more weight compared to those that ate a big dinner. And that's one of the reasons, is because if you're eating breakfast in the morning, obviously you're burning calories during the day. If you're eating a big meal, like we've been conditioned to do in this country, is to eat a big dinner, then all those calories are sitting around and they're wanting to get used, but they're just turning into fat, or they're making your body like just sit with them, right? Because you're not expending them.
Right. So let's go down here, because it's in the next article. It's pretty big. Depends on the individual. So Kevin Murphy says, professor of endocrinology and metabolism at Imperial College. And look how endocrinology, metabolism, that's why people who mess up their hormones get so fat, said in an email to CNN that the study's analysis suggests that eating breakfast is, on average, likely to make it more difficult to lose weight as you eat more calories during the day. And, again, this whole calorie counting thing, they're really obsessed about calorie. And a calorie is not a calorie in a calorie. I mean, it depends. If you eat fat, like 9 grams, 1 gram of fat is equivalent to 9 calories. You've got to count the macronutrients more so and balance things out. In reality, whether breakfast helps or hinders your effort to prevent weight gain or lose weight will depend on the individual, added Murphy, who was not involved in the research. But there are certainly many people for whom eating breakfast is in fact likely to make it tougher. Sarah Coase, a nutritional scientist at the British Nutrition Foundation, said that the evidence of a relationship between eating or skipping breakfast and weight loss is mixed.
Coase said in an email that the findings of this review may not fit with existing recommendations, according to but they reflect the current uncertainty about the relationship between eating breakfast and weight within the scientific literature.
One of the things that I've always noticed, and I've been in the fitness field for years, health and fitness, they try to confuse you. That's why people never know. Should I eat carbs? Should I not eat carbs?
Eggs are good. Eggs are bad.
And it's like, you've got to look at the bigger picture. You want to eat whole foods. You want to fast. So if you want to be able to fast at least anywhere from 16 to 24 hours and not be eating all the time, so fasting allows your body to detox. So my suggestion, the only reason I picked this article, which I don't always agree with a lot of stuff that I read, because I know how misleading the fitness industry is, the nutritional industry.
They just want to keep you confused.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the name of the game.
The name of the game is skip the breakfast, That gives you time for your body to detox. That's the time when you need to go poop, pee, get everything out, cleanse yourself well, because at night your body is doing its thing. So from the time you get up till around 1 or 2, eliminate. Go to the bathroom so that all that stuff that was processed at night while you were resting gets to come out. So if you get anything of what we just read there, those words are the most important. Don't eat the breakfast. Hydrate yourself with water. First thing when you get up, lots of water, little apple cider vinegar in that water, so you could cleanse yourself, because you want to get rid of the toxins that you've developed.
And redefine what the word breakfast means, because
you're breaking.
Breakfast means break fast. So every day that you eat that first meal, or that, for us, our only meal, it's our break fast. And, when you're able to break your fast because you are doing something to make your body work for you and give it the love and attention that it needs to do its job, then that's when you can really eat breakfast, because just eating to eat 3 meals a day, 4 meals of snacks, and it's like
you're putting a lot of strain on your digestive system.
Your body.
You're wearing yourself out. It's like taking your car out all the time. The more you drive it, the more you're wearing all the parts out. That's what's happening when you eat a lot. You're wearing yourself out. You're aging yourself. You're creating toxins. That's the name of the game.
So Patricia says,
check out Dr. Esselstyn. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm halfway blind here. He helped thousands of heart patients by getting them to stop eating excess protein.
Yeah, that's the one that you really got inspired by after you watched his interview with President at the time Clinton.
Exactly. And Dr. McDougall is one of my favorite as well. Dr. Graham.
Although Dr. McDougall does not advocate exercise.
No,
he thinks
Dr. Graham does, though.
Yeah.
Dr. Douglas Graham.
Catherine says, ham Eskimos have gardens too. You really need to learn more about modern Eskimo living. I have Eskimo friends who live in Barrow, Alaska that even grow tomatoes in winter in their homes, not igloos.
Yeah.
Gail says, our collective, I'm sorry. Our collective coffee addiction is a bad one. Causes masses of rainforests that have medicines and many animal species to be destroyed to fulfill that addiction.
I think the one that we buy in our thing, they're like not, they're really careful, the fair trade, and then something that they don't do it in the rainforest. It's like really, our co-op is really, they're very careful where
Patricia
they get
says,
stuff.
I have 1 cup of coffee a day. It's what I look forward to every morning.
Yeah.
We make French press coffee. Mm-hmm. Awesome, delicious.
Yes.
And I put, soy milk in mine. Mark uses a different kind of almond milk or something. Coconut milk. And then we put like a creamer in there, and wow, coffee's awesome. So, Gail, I filtered chaga instead of coffee in the morning. I dig it out of dead trees.
Wow.
So good for your muscle pain.
It's awesome. What did we talk about yesterday? That's another one that's really good also.
Chicory,
yeah. It's the ritual. We love our morning coffee with or not morning, because it's by the time we eat our meal, it's usually like 1:30 or so, after we come back from the gym and run our errands and stuff.
Gail says a good reason to drop it, Patricia, is you then sit in the emotion that makes you believe you have to have it, and you clear it.
And that's with any addiction. People become addicted to stuff, and they feel like, well, if I let go of this, a part of me is going, because it becomes so attached to whatever it is.
Well, Patricia just said, it's the ritual.
So then you could take, for the longest time, I stopped having coffee, and I had green tea. Green tea was just as good for me. The time you and I were separate, I didn't make coffee all the time because it was too much of a hassle. I just bought the green tea, and that's all I would have.
I didn't drink much coffee either. Catherine says, I love eating out of the wild. Berries, mushrooms, stinging nettles, spinach, all kinds of food without meat and outside in the wild.
There's so much great stuff, natural stuff.
Yeah, size goes down and the price goes up. I remember, I used to love Girl Scout cookies. Around March was when they sold them. And I used to have a packet of them available for me anytime in the refrigerator, and the packages got smaller and smaller.
I think people aren't noticing either.
I look at it from, because I had the box from last year. I'm like, check this out. The box is like this tall now compared to that tall.
I must say that you have totally matured in your eatings. And at first I was like,
ay, Dios mío, que
wow,
me metí.
What have I gotten myself into? I mean, it was just like, whoa, because I was, when I lived with my ex-wife Violet, she was all into eating healthy like me, so we both were that way. Before you, as the other trans woman I was with, ate horrible. I was like, okay, well, that's your food and that's my food, but yeah, it's good to mature in your taste buds.
Patricia says, Catherine, I would love to be your neighbor in Alaska. I like Alaska in the summertime, probably. Yeah. Gail Single, the problem I have with these studies is that it doesn't take in the emotional element. I have been a vegan for a couple of years and no weight loss. I've lost with the 1 meal a day because of a noticeable shift in my soul.
Yeah, that 1 meal a day will get you, not only will you lose weight, you'll lose the right kind of weight. Because that's another show on its own, teaching people. The scale doesn't tell you exactly what you're doing. You need to get a scale that tells you fat versus muscle. Are you losing muscle or are you losing fat? Or are you losing water? So the name of the game is to change your body composition. And, if you eat a lot of fat has a lot of calories. It's like 9 calories per gram. And fat kind of like coats your cells and don't let the things that you need go inside. So it makes your metabolism very sluggish. So the one meal a day is something that I haven't heard a person yet that has not lost weight with a one meal a day.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I haven't really experienced a significant amount of weight loss, but overall health is something that I have experienced, and I'm averaging around 150 pounds, so my body is probably just centered around that weight. It doesn't want to drop any lower than that, or maybe if I cut out some oatmeal or something in my meal, but I'm happy the way I am. And this is something, it's a long haul. I got into losing weight and stuff with you and getting healthier, and it was a journey. The body had to adjust, and my metabolism was dead from like 5 years of running. Mm-hmm. So I would lose weight while I was running, put it back on if I stopped for a month or something. So but Gail says the problem, Catherine said only $5,000 for a lot next door, to move. And then Patricia says, thanks, Catherine. I'm stuck in Ohio raising grandchildren until I die. And she goes, Catherine says, without power and sewer, I pay $247 a year for taxes.
Wow.
And Gail?
We do need to look at our rituals as well.
Black Cat says, I tried for 6 months and just fell off the wagon. Changing eating habits is really hard. I will try again soon. And you know what? It's really hard when you don't have anyone to do it with.
And you don't have a drill sergeant. I'm a good drill sergeant.
Yeah.
Patricia. Whoops.
Couldn't
have children. I'd give everything for grandbabies.
I'm sorry. Gail Single, pray on it until you feel the shift and go for it. Put all of your attention and intention into it. What's the most important thing to do? That's what you're manifesting.
And the thing is, you've got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. When you're going to make any type of changes, you really got to want it. You're not going to do it if you think you have to or you must to. It's like something that you really want and resonates with you. You get rid of all the stuff in your house that is not benefit to your body, and you only buy things that are good for you. And that's, if you're hungry and you want a snack, make sure that everything you have in your house is healthy. And I totally believe that if you learn how to intermittent fast, the hunger spells are going to go away. And then you should start with a fast. Fasting will help reset your body completely. A couple good enemas help out too.
Jim and KJ say,
eat to live, not live to eat. Exactly.
And April says that she can't drink coffee anymore. Tai Chi made me very much healthier.
It does, because it's moving. Yeah, some people after a while they can't do the caffeine.
Okay.
All right, so our trans corner today. I got this article from the one that you told me about. What was his name again? Who we interviewed, Ron?
Oh yes. He's living in the Philippines now.
Yes.
Rod Fleming.
And this was a very interesting article, and I like it because it talks about a solution. I don't know how many of you know that in the transgender community, there's a group of transgender, a very large group here in the United States.
The
majority are autogynephiles or autogynephilia.
It's a bad word.
It's to a lot of trans people.
A lot of trans people.
Yes, but it is a word that has been studied. There's been a lot of study, not just by the founders of the study, but by other people. So the article is called Cure or Manage. Autogynephilia, or AGP for short, a man's propensity to be aroused by the thought or image of himself as a woman, is one of the two possible causes of gender dysphoria. It is the cause of all non-homosexual gender dysphoria in males. It is completely different in nature from homosexual gender dysphoria, HGD, which leads to homosexual transsexualism, or HSTS. This article only discusses AGP, the men affected by it, and possible treatment strategies. None of will apply to HSTS or HGD. I have written this in response to an increasing number of requests on my website and my YouTube channel in order to try to help. And, I think that's something that's, very appropriate and helpful, that he's trying to help. I mean, people right away want to, take out knives and guns and because they feel shame, and there shouldn't be any shame. I mean, it is what it is.
Autogynephilia can be a massively debilitating condition that may completely disrupt the life of the subject and his family. It can lead to depression, suicidality, alcoholism, and a range of other disorders. It frequently results, especially in Western profiles, in the loss of career, family, home, and in financial ruin. Divorce and estrangement from wife and children are commonplace. People close to the subject are invariably traumatized by an adult transition, and there is simply no support for them. There is absolutely no doubt that autogynephilia is real and devastating. And everything that article said applied to me. Okay, because I had I'll go up again on that. I
lost your career?
I lost my career not due to that, but I lost my family, my home, and eventually it put me in financial ruin. Divorce, definitely. Estrangement from my wife and children, still to this. Well, I remarried, obviously, but my children, I'm estranged from them. My ex-wife wants nothing to do with me. Barely ever sends me any information about my children. But, you know, the fact is that this is commonplace. When you think of a transgender individual here in the United States, think AGP. Because most likely, unless they're a early transitioning teen and they're in their midlife crisis like I was, they're going to be autogynephiles. So that's just kind of a, you know, the person that walks into GameStop and says, I'm a woman, respect my pronouns, and gets all mad and throws the tantrum and kicks the, you know, electronics off the shelf and
that's an autogynephile.
Throws a hissy fit. You know,
the other day we saw another video.
Person in a rental car agency, African American autogynephile.
Yeah, had a fit in front of everybody because they served her.
And there's no shame in understanding that this is what it is. You know, I know for me that autogynephilia has something to do with it. I'm not going to say it's entirely the whole thing, but I do fit that profile.
There's no cure for autogynephilia that I'm aware of. A major problem with developing one is that those affected by the condition would have to actually recognize that they have a disorder for any treatment to have hope or success. But AGPs are habitually in denial, especially in the overt stages of the condition. They go to extreme lengths to deny the very existence of the condition or that they're subject to it. Worse, they're encouraged in this by ignorant professionals and therapists who are not doctors or psychologists and who do not understand the condition.
And all they do is egg it on. You know, they're like, oh, you were born in the wrong body. Oh, yes, oh, honey, as soon as you would like, we will put you on hormones. And, you know, just go dress, go play, have fun, enjoy yourselves. And then that's what an autogynephile gets. They get that validation from a psychologist, therapist, and the gates are down and they're off in La La Land.
Look at what happened to the one I was looking yesterday. Lost their wife, the kids, they became homeless, they're sick, they lost their job, all of the above.
Absolutely.
Also another AGP.
All of it.
Yeah.
Transition is much vaunted as a cure, quote unquote, but that could only be for those who wish to do so. Persuading AGPs to follow this path is clearly unethical, yet I routinely receive communications from men who tell me that they are hectored on to the Transition Express train, and it literally is a train. I don't know if it's on a railroad, but it is on a train in their mind, even by real doctors. There can't be any justification for such behavior.
The unethical nature of this policy is especially so since we do not know the actual success of transition in AGPs. In therapeutic terms, since the AGP lobby actively tries to block any such research and aim in which it is succeeding.
In an act of utter cowardice, universities have acquiesced and research has practically stopped now. Earlier this year, Bath University axed a research project which had previously been approved that aimed to establish a reliable baseline for AGP desistance detransition. The university withdrew its support in case it might cause upset in the trans community. Imagine if psychopaths demanded we stop researching psychopathy for fear of hurting their feelings.
And this is the major problem with this agenda, okay? That's like the crux of it. Causes. There might be an innate propensity towards AGP, which manifests in pubertal autogynephilic arousal. This shows as crushes on the self as a girl. Other evidence suggests that events at around the time of puberty may have triggered the condition. These seems to be associated with very early masturbation and orgasmic experiences.
Now, I just wanted to talk about that on a personal level. Growing up, I very much cross-dressed a lot as a young child, as a young boy, and mom and dad, my dad was very alpha male, and my mom was a very docile person, and my dad wasn't really involved with me a whole lot. He would go watch me play baseball games and stuff like that. But my mom and my sister they're the bulk of how I grew up. So they would take me to the mall and have me go wait by the dressing rooms, at Wet Seal, at May Company, all these different stores and stuff that they like to go try on dresses. And I was like in a girl's world. I was like living in a girl's world, and I was like not, I didn't have a lot of guy friends. Like the friend that was behind me and my neighbor, she was my best friend, and she was a girl, So all these influences and stuff like that, they paint a picture of like, wait a minute, you don't fit, you're not right, you don't work, So later on, as you get older, I'm doing things where I'm buying wigs and hair and things and hiding it inside a place in my closet. Mom never knew. Bringing home outfits, like they were retiring all the high school cheerleader outfits and stuff, and I would bring that home. And one day my mom caught me. She's like, "Ay, Dios mío, what is this?" And I go, "Oh, a girl put it in my back. I guess I took the wrong backpack or something," and I made up a story and basically lied, but cross-dressing was very much a part of what I did, and it just was something that wasn't addressed, So in other cases, AGPs have reported a strict upbringing, like me, wherein masturbation was forcefully opposed. I didn't deal with masturbation personally myself, as a cause for anything, as something that only dirty little boys did. It would seem simple to conclude that the subject might have got round this opprobrium by imagining himself as a girl rather than a boy. Others used plush animals, and somehow this became connected to the sense of self as a girl. I was not allowed to have plush animals. My sister would give me a hard time if I wanted one. Exactly how this mechanism works is not clear, but it seems to be something like masturbating using a girl's toy makes me a girl, and autogynephilia does the rest. So, that's that. See, there's different ways that people get affected, and mine wasn't a sexual thing.
And I think possibly because they didn't allow you, like you saw your mom and your sister go in trying on clothes, and they left you out, so you felt left out.
Well, I think, I used to go play underneath the racks and stuff like that. And I'm a very touchy-feely type of person. So textures really, I'm really attracted to that. That for me, my senses are not as much smell, but it's feel. So,
So in other cases, it's clear that porn was implicated. In the modern context, there does seem to be a correlation between exposure to female porn and AGP. Here, the porn seems to act like a trigger. Given that this form of porn is still increasingly in popularity, and if there is such a correlation, it seems like that AGP, either overt or covert, should continue to increase too. Again, however, research is next to impossible due to the resistance from AGPs.
And another thing with that is that I had experiences with pornography one time there was like a load of a basket, like a black bag that some adult had thrown over the fence. And then us kids at 8, 9 years old, one of my friends brought it over the fence and then over to my house, the patio in the summertime.
Right.
And I saw these images, but they didn't do anything to me. I wasn't interested in seeing them, right? And my friends were really impacted by it. They were like really attracted to it. And I was like, this is gross. So I've never been the kind that's been into porn or anything like that, because it may have been because of my Christian upbringing that was taboo.
Right.
So this is in one internet narrative, the subject explained that after discovering she-male porn, he began to identify with the trans women portrayed during his masturbation, and so came to be aroused by the idea of himself as a trans woman. This then fueled his transition as he desired to have sex with women, again, as a trans woman. This actually appears to be quite common.
This is certainly not a comprehensive list, but just a sample. Dr. Ann Lawrence, Men Trapped in Men's Bodies, is a must-read here. These potential triggers and propensities would not be mutually exclusive, of course. One characteristic of AGP is the huge array of variation it has. And it's one of the things I remember my ex-girlfriend would say that, having sex as a man with a man wasn't okay. Also was raised Christian. But having sex with a man, them dressed as a woman, then that created some, a different mentality.
I think for me, though, personally, because I hadn't really been an out gay person, until I transitioned in the sense of being attracted, in public.
Right.
Right. It was something where, that, growing up, that being gay is taboo. Right. It's not accepted. Right. So I would lose my job. Right. I would lose my friends. I would lose my family. I would lose everything over just simply being gay. Right. So for me, transitioning was a way to justify being gay. Right. Because if I could be a woman, then that's the reason that I'm attracted to men, because now God smiles on me because it's okay to be gay. So
but then now they're identifying themselves as liking women, my ex. So it's like a very, management with no cure in sight, and any attempt to find one being blocked by those it would help most. If you have AGP, then your best resource is to find a way to manage it. Ideally, I would suggest psychoanalysis to explore what triggers the disorder to begin with. Unfortunately, my correspondence tells me that finding such a therapist who is not fully on board with the transition express train can be extremely difficult. Some have even asserted that several therapists, instead of trying to help them manage and control the disorder, instead try to get them to accept the inevitability of transition. And that's really wrong, because one size does not fit all, and this trans train is gone out of control. Do we want a little bit of the thing?
Well, I just wanted to add something personal. Back in 2012, I was still pre-transition, and I was really just trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, right? I'm 41 at the time, or 42, and I went to a place down in Atlanta where this woman would cater to to cross-dressers. Mm-hmm. And she quote-unquote had a heart for cross-dressers, right? So she catered to a lot of the professional types, they, like Derek said earlier, this is an affluent problem, mm-hmm. An issue more associated with white, upper class, mm-hmm. middle upper class men mm-hmm. who have money to blow, and they have time on their hands, and their wives are busy doing life on their own, and they're in a marriage, but they're not really connecting and stuff.
Very common.
So I went down there, unbeknownst to my wife at the time, and I was so excited to be down there and to be able to have a night where I could dress and, be made up and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And, I remember that next morning, after having spent a whole night dressing and fantasized playing and whatnot, that the woman I talked to, who was very kind, I said, I'm thinking about transitioning. And she looked at me and she's like, You have a family? I go, yeah. And she goes, there are so many men that just deal with it. Eventually their wives know, and then they're able to share, and their wives understand, and they come and they do their thing or whatever, and everything's good. But you're 40. You really don't have. It's too late. It's too late for you to do this. And for me, as an obsessive compulsive Asperger type person, where I'm on the train, I couldn't take that answer, so that's where I reacted and used it as fuel to motivate myself to do it, so here's things that they're saying, how can it be managed? And I don't know in my case if I could have managed it, personally. I don't know. So countless men have managed AGP throughout their lives without transitioning. For a person over 25, I would suggest that transition be an absolute last resort. Even MTF homosexual transsexuals who are vastly more feminine generally transition before that. This counterindication just gets more severe the older the subject. Creating a person who cannot pass successfully as a woman and then calling that person one causes men as many problems as it might cure.
Yeah, and then a lot of people just egg people on. They're like, oh, you're so beautiful, honey, and you're this, and they're hurting them because, it's like they're lying to them and they're hurting them. In terms of treatment, some clinicians report success using testosterone suppression drugs, but there are no widespread trials of this therapy. Again, this is because the AGP lobby has completely hijacked the debate and does it best to prevent any research in autogynephilia.
Orchiectomy. It's possible that orchiectomy, removal of the testes, which they do to prisoners, castrate them, might relieve some autogynephilic urges. I know that, some of the SRS surgeries that have been done, where the autogynephile had the surgery done, now their sex drive is absolutely disappointing to them because now they don't fantasize anymore, and they have the neo-vagina and stuff, and they've lost their connection with their sexual self.
We interviewed somebody who, after they did all they did, they went and detransitioned.
Yeah, because they lost.
Yeah, they lost
drive. their drive.
And I think that's what happened to my ex after they had their workie. They lost it. Now they're lost their drive.
It's likely this element of genital reconstruction surgery, sometimes called SRS or sex change, that provides some relief from AGP feelings rather than the removal of the penis. Although I would not expect a post-operative AGP to admit to that, and that's what I alluded to.
Yeah.
But the majority of people having these gender surgeries, especially here in America, are not the HSTSs. Because an HSTS can live with their genital usually, right? Carmen Carrera.
Yeah, because
HSTS.
they're gay men. They like to have their. They
don't want their sex drive taken away from them. Because that's part of them.
Yeah.
So a person that is an autogynephile, older transitioner, has the surgery, can't pass worth beans, feels like that's how they're going to be a woman because their mother will only see them as such if they have the surgery.
Right. It's
so.
like that sense. So if this were to be carried out, however, it would be imperative to harvest and safely store sufficient samples of sperm to allow the subject to father children if he later desisted. Once again, we have no real idea of desistent rates post-surgery. In addition, orchiectomy can lead to an increase in suicidality, and because AGPs are men, there is a higher risk of successful completion. One acquaintance of mine died in exactly this way, but it is far from rare. Orchiectomy would have to be approached with care.
I would never recommend orchiectomy.
And that, why happens is, again, it's like chemically castrated completely. They've removed it. All trans women... Physically. All trans women eventually chemically castrate themselves. That's why they become suicidal after a while. That's why we get very sick. Men need their testicles and need sperm. And need their testosterone.
As a male body ages...
Yeah, it requires
the endocrine system needs to work.
Yeah.
If you cut out your your testes and you think that that's a good thing, or if you have the surgery and you think that that's a good thing, I don't know how you can justify that.
And that's why they age. I mean, how many people do we know, friends of ours, you know, that it's like 3 or 4 months after they had the orgy, you look at them and you're like, what happened to them?
Testosterone is the hormone of vigor and vitality.
Of youth for a man,
Yes.
you know, of just everything. I mean,
Men age better than women do.
because
for a
estrogen
reason.
makes you it ages you very quickly. After a certain amount of time with estrogen in your bloodstream, it doesn't help you any.
So April says,
there is no failure, only a learning experience. Just my take. I quit smoking about 2 weeks ago. Took me a year and a half of practice. Yeah, everybody's got to take their time to get to where they're going.
so okay, I'll make it bigger. Sorry, Catherine, Patricia. The babies need you. You're the voice of reason. Good grandma. That's
And Patricia
beautiful.
said, thank you, Catherine Willie. Your words are truly appreciated.
This is beautiful. I love community and being
Yeah.
able to uplift each other, encourage each other.
Yeah.
You know, here's a woman who lives in the outback in Alaska, right?
Mm-hmm.
And has a generator, and she's talking to a grandma in Ohio.
Yeah.
That's so cool. If there's no injury present, just pure action, there would not be any anger in all things, not just what you're talking about. Couldn't spell it.
Okay, it's a natural love from Christ's teaching in me. Sometimes I just listen and let Christ talk through my love for everyone. I blame it all on Christ's love for us.
Mark, have you heard of petticoat punishment?
No.
I think it's associated with mothers punishing their boys by dressing them up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's not
It's more
good.
common in Britain.
That's not good
It's more common in Britain.
because that creates problems.
Like, you've been a bad boy, so you're going to be a girl.
Yeah, see, that's abuse.
I went with a friend to a male to female support group a few times. Among the 20 or so ladies, not one spoke about reasons to not get surgery. You know, that's really sad, because the surgery is not an end-all answer. It's actually an
destroys them.
end-all problem.
Yeah.
You know.
Long term, again, because you need your endocrine system. A lot of little boys would come into my curtain shop and love to feel the fabrics obsessively. Didn't make that connection. Living consciously comes to us so late in life. Let's change that. Yeah, it's a feel. It's a feel of how the female clothes feels on their bodies. You know how they.
You know, it's since male clothing has been so restricting, right? Male clothing is so simple and boring, right? And the male fabrics are just, you know, I mean, I grew up with polyester.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my dad wanted to put me in a red suit that looked like him from RealTalk company that he was working for. It's like,
And you wanted to wear what your mom
I
and your
wanted to
sister.
wear what they were wearing.
Yeah.
So Gail says, April says, interesting logic, Lena. Gail says, one of my sons has gender confusion, I believe, although he doesn't deal with it. He just sits in his room with his video game at 25.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. These people immerse themselves in some virtual reality world.
It's neurological impairment.
They create female characters,
Mm-hmm.
and then if they keep doing it long enough, then, as we spoke to this one person a couple of weeks ago who pretty much just had our lunch on their YouTube page, they transition later, a gamer, you know, and it's like, yeah. So
Men in the is it your turn?
Go ahead.
Men in the 1940s to 50s were put in women's clothing and set out front of the house for punishment, so everyone could see they were bad. Some still wear women's clothes because of this abuse.
yeah.
Yeah, it becomes, you know, the sister dresses you, your mother dresses you, you know, something, and then somehow it just creates this like dopamine high, total dopamine high.
He is one of a twin, Gail says, the one that is
Yeah.
gender confusion. One of my sons. Wow,
No, he's 25.
has gender confusion.
Yeah.
Okay, he says he is one of a twin.
Okay.
I thought they were both going to be girls after having had 3 sons. I'm not following that.
Okay, she had twins. One of them's gender confused, but they're 25. They're both 25, and they thought that both of them were going to be girls because she has 3 sons.
Okay, when I told the story, he asked me, Mommy, when did I used to be a girl? Then I realized.
Wow. See, a lot of times that connection, even in the womb.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You know what happens in utero that, and no one's going to blame anybody, but, you know, a lot of times mommies want their babies to be a certain gender.
Right.
You know, if she had like 3 boys, and then she's like, she wants girls now.
Yeah.
So it's like almost like
sometimes, yeah,
mentally
it's just the
feeding it.
neurological system is being created from the time they're inside the womb, and they feel everything and they sense everything. When I was a kid, I always wanted a cowboy suit. I wanted to be a boy only because I love boys and men. You know, I think everybody has a little bit of, you know, gender confusion at one point or another.
Catherine says, Leno, what a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. Well, I can only be honest about my own experience in life, and I'm not going to back down and pretend like I don't have issues. And
it's important for healing, you know, and if it could help other people to realize and prevent them from taking this road, you know, that's the aim. Can't take it back. He needs to deal with it now. Even though I have explained what I think he has, he refuses to think I have hurt him.
Gail Single, love works wonders. Just keep giving it.
That's it. Love cures all.
And have patience with this. Love works miracles.
Yep. One day at a time. And don't forget to tap the like tab. You'll get more notifications when the Cummings are on.
Yay.
Thank you, Catherine.
Oh, look at our friend Scott.
Hey, Scott.
Hola, mi familia.
¿Cómo estás, amigo, hermano?
Sorry I'm late / absent yesterday, but I had a couple of amazing days and a pizza night tonight with my former stepsisters. Feel so much for your situation, Lena. Much love.
Stepdaughters.
I'm sorry, stepdaughters.
Thank you for joining.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes. All right. So, controlling is your turn, I think.
Controlling the mental urges. No autogynephilic male anywhere is a woman. No HSTS either. I don't know. This guy. He's living in the Philippines, and he has a very young homosexual transsexual girlfriend that, I mean, it's almost borderline.
Yeah.
Anywhere. So therefore, the obsession that he is must be a mental condition. It follows that techniques of mind training might be useful, especially where the more conventional avenues of assistance have either failed or are a part of the transition express train.
I like that term, transition express train. If you're religious, then you might talk to a priest. If it's unlikely that any of the Protestant denominations could help, but priests in the Catholic Church are generally better trained. Alternatively, consider investigating a religion that develops self-control, like Buddhism, meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, and other methods may also help. All should be tried till one is found that works.
Autogynephilia, narcissism, addiction. Autogynephilia, in many ways, behaves exactly like narcotics addiction. Rewarding it releases endorphins, which the body will increasingly crave. People who combine narcissistic personalities with addictive ones appear to be particularly prone to completely succumbing to the condition. And one of the things that I was told back in 2013, I told my best friend, he was on a road trip back to California from Virginia, and we met at the mall. And that was when I told him that I was dealing with transgender issues. And he looked at me and he goes, oh, you know, I just want to let you know that, you know, I see this as an addiction, just like anything like being an alcoholic or dealing with narcotics or drugs or something. And I go, no, it's not what it is, you know. And then he looked at me and he goes, well, you just realize that you're always going to deal with a limp. You know, you just need to figure out how to get through it, how to work through it. And every day, you know, and I was like thinking, no, I'm free. You know, I was thinking, I have my answer. I'm going to transition. That's my answer. And he's like, well, I'm never going to back you up on this. I'm never going to give you my approval. What I'm telling you is that it's an addiction.
It is. Thank you, Queenie, for joining us, and sorry about your 8-year-old. Wow, 8-year-old and chemo. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
In provocative study, Narcissism as Addiction to Esteem, Roy Baumeister and Kathleen Voles argue that narcissism is, in fact, more like an addiction than a lifelong personality trait. They applied the cycle of addiction, craving, increasing tolerance, and withdrawal to narcissism and found that indeed craving to feel superior in the indulgence of those cravings may be the defining feature of narcissism. And narcissists appear to be constantly on the lookout for a new and greater triumphs that brings them greater glory. Finally, the authors address withdrawal. When narcissists receive something other than admiration, the admiration they crave, indifference, criticism, disrespect, they exhibit considerable distress. And this is very true for the trans community. Always looking for that, praise, that glory, that what's next. I mean, if you notice, a lot of the trans women, next I'm going to go here and I'm going to do this and it's always a project, always something.
These comments ring true of autogynephilia, and it would therefore seem reasonable that successful methods for treating addicted narcissists might also be helpful there. Here, Craig Malkin, a therapist and author of Rethinking Narcissism, explained, when someone has narcissistic personality disorder and a substance abuse problem, he said, it's not enough for them to beat their drug addiction. They also have to beat their addiction to feeling special. Substitute autogynephilia for substance abuse, and again, the statement seems uncannily accurate.
Practical management in terms of day-to-day management, there are two basic approaches using drug therapy as discussed above to reduce the intensity of the symptom and partial satisfaction of the condition to do the same thing. However, AGP, as seen above, is a narcissistic personality disorder that shows similarity to addictive disorders. Extreme care must be taken to ensure that any technique of partial satisfaction does not trigger an addictive binge. The subject here is very much like an alcoholic. One drink and he goes on a bender.
Binge and purge. This explains why so many AGPs binge and purge. That is, they buy women's clothing, often extremely sexualized, like basques, frilly underwear, stockings, to masturbate with. If you think that's extreme, Mike Bailey, in his book The Man Who Would Be Queen, describes an AGP who used a prosthetic vagina to hide his penis during his sessions, and such items are available readily online.
After building up to an intense peak of autogynephilic arousal and satisfaction, the subject, just as the alcoholic does, dives into a slough of despond, becomes depressed, and squares off. He then gets rid of all his props and promises never to repeat this his way, but after a few weeks, the urge gets too great and he steals a pair of panties from his wife, and the cycle is kicked off again and again.
If the addictive response can be controlled, then management may work. For example, some men wear women's underwear or a pair of stockings under male work clothes. Others may isolate AGP behaviorally, confining the indulgence to particular times and places. This latter may be in company with other AGPs, but be warned, these can turn into full sex orgies, so make sure you know what you're getting into, especially if you're younger and cuter as a woman.
Remember, the excessive reward of AGP will make it worse, so that it might take over. The idea here is to control and regulate it, not to encourage it. AGP is not, in itself, either immoral or necessarily bad. It's the massive destruction it can cause to the subject's life and those of the people around him that we should be concerned about.
The good news is that many men succeed in this. It's only in the last few decades that they've been encouraged to succumb to a pernicious, invasive condition, often by so-called professionals. Until then, most AGPs were covert and died keeping their secret. Although there were always a few who came out, we still do not know what the relative proportions of covert AGPs there are.
Some AGP engage in the services of trans prostitutes. Many such actually advertise their willingness to participate in dressing, play, and to penetrate their partners, something that AGPs, while en femme, frequently desire.
Finally, partial or complete social transition might work. In this, the subject dresses in public and may even take feminizing hormones. The French artist Marcel Duchamp, for example, had a transvestite alter ego he called Rose Salavi. However, he was operating in a bohemian milieu in New York, where artists were expected to do odd things it might be harder to get away with in a small town.
I cannot stress strongly enough that genital reconstruction surgery, also called SRS or sex change, should be avoided. All AGPs are actually heterosexual men with a personality disorder, and removing their manhood is a step neither they nor their advisor should ever contain with or whatever. This is the very opposite for an HSTS, where GRS is a reasonable therapy.
Unless the person that's, they don't want that.
No.
AGP and HSTS. AGP is not like homosexual transsexualism or HSTS. HSTS is a function of sexual inversion or feminine male homosexuality and masculine female homosexuality. These are called transgender homosexuality. While the precise cause is not established, there is significant evidence that it is due to abnormalities in hormone delivery in the womb. Where boys don't get enough testosterone, they are partially feminized, and where girls get too much, they are partially masculinized.
In the most complete form of sexual inversion, full transition is usually required, although this is to some extent socially conditioned. In many parts of the world, where the idea of a girl having a penis is at least tolerated, most simply transition socially. That is, they grow their hair, dress as a woman, take feminizing hormone, and probably have a minor cosmetic surgery. Where GRS is desired, indicated in the case of HSTS, then, if it is carried out as a young age, the subject will usually pass easily in the target gender and have a full life. All they really need is a nice man to love them and a social place that accepts them. If MTF's opposite for FTM.
AGP is a disorder, not a variation. AGP is a natural variation of sexuality. Subjects are no more feminine than the average related male. It is a narcissistic mental disorder, and even in places where AGPs transition young and can feminize themselves more effectively, they still rarely pass. The classic middle-aged profile, most common in the West, has absolutely no chance of passing in 95% of cases. Their recourse is to bully others into accepting them as they are what they are not, women. Some people, and I am one, find this level of coercion unacceptable, and I would urge those affected not to indulge in it. It loses your allies.
Management of AGP must provide a method of satisfying the paraphilia sufficiently so that it does not have severe consequences like suicidality, depression, alcoholism, and so on, while maintaining an understanding on the part of the subject, and that he is a man and can never be a woman. He must learn to control his impulses and channel his sexual energy, which is at the root of this, in more positive directions. That will be difficult, especially in the ongoing atmosphere of prudishness typical in the U.S., which it is, sadly, and as usual, exporting alongside the transition express train.
Adolescent AGP, an exception to the rule. The one possible exception to this might be adolescent appearing AGP. This was not discussed by Ray Blanchard in his original research because then it was very rare, but it is described in the DSM.
Teenage transition AGP is more common in areas like Southeast Asia. However, here AGPs can become strikingly beautiful trans women because they began hormones from the age of 12 and 16 and come from ethnicities where features tend to be naturally softer, but they are dependent on culture condition in that area they live, which are too complex to discuss here and in many cases simply are not present in the West.
Further, in my experience, many such AGPs will desist, detransition when their looks fade, typically in their mid to late 30s. They may then marry and become fathers. HSTS don't. If they desist, it's a matter of presenting as a highly effeminate gay male rather than trans woman. But I know HSTS who are well into their 50s, going strong and looking good. An AGP in this position obviously should not undergo GRS.
Full transition is a mistake for most AGPs. Finally, AGPs themselves are told by many, including clinicians, that the best path to take is just to transition. This is a catastrophic mistake for a Western AGP. Anything much over about the ages of 20 to 25 years old. AGP are not differentiated morphologically from the broader male population as HSTS are. Even by 20, they will be noticeably masculinized. They will not slip easily into the social role of a woman.
Transition will cost an AGP everything. An AGP is married, has a career, children, a house, a car, may look forward to losing all of that, the whole lot. Although the Western AGP lobby is keen to showcase those instances where women have been loyal enough or weak enough to stay with their transition husband. This is rare. The price of transition for most AGPs is the complete loss of everything they have worked to establish. To put it bluntly, it's madness.
And it's very true. I mean, I've known a lot of trans women. I've interviewed a lot of trans women, and the majority of them have lost their family, have lost their job, they're homeless. I mean, you see a lot of them. They're just, and that's pretty much the end result. That's what we say to people. Please think twice before you do it. This is nothing to take lightly, and it's really, I don't know.
Definitely. It's it costs everything.
It does. And so I like to ask, because I know we're in the middle of reading, I didn't want to, who was it that was late? Oh, Queenie, so can you tell us a little bit more about your 8-year-old son before we go into the manifestation meditation moment, if you'd like? 8 years old, that's it's probably some sort of leukemia probably, which is, yeah.
Leukemia.
Yeah, and that's my heart really goes completely, because, as a child, you're not supposed to be sick. You're supposed to be a child. You're supposed to play games. You're supposed to look forward to life, not be, in
and out of hospitals and having
chemotherapy, which is devastating, completely devastating. But our hearts go to you, and our positive thoughts and well wishes and speedy recovery, and we send you our love. Okay.
In our favor.
Yeah. Send you
the favor of the universe over you to have your 8-year-old restored back to full health.
Totally.
For all those cells and parts of the body to just respond as they should be.
Let me see here where it's going to end. I got to put it in the beginning. Oh, down here. Oops. There we go, because that would have been disastrous. Okay. Take this time and thank all of you for joining. I hope that we all were able to learn from each other, as we do on a daily basis, or at least Monday through Friday. Sending you all lots of healing and wonderful thoughts, and that you find it in your life to be able to understand all the things that have happened to you and be grateful for even the bad, because even the bad teaches us something and helps us grow. I mean, as two individuals with a trans history, and we've been through a lot, as I'm sure many of you have been through a lot in life, I find that all of my hardships have taught me something. It's part of our spiritual growth and part of learning not to take these meat suits so seriously. So a flower blooms. It grows from the ground, that same ground we walked on since the beginning of time, that same ground that we were made of. We came from that same place. We're just particles and stardust that have been spread from out of space. We claim to be better than most that roamed on this earth, not respecting, yet intending to destroy it all. Because mankind has always been at war with itself and everything around it. Unlike the creatures that honor this planet, that coexist with one another, man seems to be that virus. Fast, wake up fast. The destruction is faster than the forbidden task. We see and we can hear that her heart is beating from her fearless tears. Mother Earth. She knows where to go. She could shake us off like fleas, but her love for you holds to you steadfast. And she wants you to grow. She wants our awakening. She wants our healing. We are part of her. From her dirt we came. She birthed us. Don't you look back. Let it go. It is time for the rapture. Are you ready to go? But let's understand the true meaning of rapture. I know there's many different meanings and people have all sorts of different definitions for that word. The meaning we must all share is not being lifted or removed from this earth. It is simply a new transformation that includes you and me both. Think DNA. The strands from above, the coils will unravel and begin to display a new form of life, of existence that will take you away from the old living standard, and you will be changed. You'll have a new standard, a new person replaced. And isn't that what we're all striving for? Isn't that why we every day gather with one another, read books, listen to our higher self so that we can become anew, so we can heal, so we can move beyond these cages of steel, you know? So again, I want to thank you all for spending, 3 hours with us this evening. You're all so gracious for...
I don't know how we do that.
I don't know. It just, time just flies. It really does. But we appreciate you so much. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Did you want to give me a kiss? Is that what you...
I always give you a kiss. No, I was just waiting.
Didn't it look like she was like... I was like, are you trying
I
to
love you all. Truly need to conserve power for the best damn broadcast.
Yes.
With Derek on at 9 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine, for tuning in. Hopefully you get to find a good air fryer and get to enjoy the loveliness of food in that air fryer. It makes the food taste really good. Hey, Fifth World.
Fifth World.
Yes. You just joined us, but...
April. By the way, Lena, you look so beautiful tonight. Mark, you're awesome. Thank you, Cummings.
Thank you.
So
thank
beautiful.
you.
Have a good night, all. Rest well, and may the Father guide you. Much love. Good night.
Thank you, Jim and KJ. And Jim, whenever you want to call in and share your little snippet of your story, you said you wanted to. The other day we had Scott. Just let me know, and we'll just add that little section, you know, good 30-minute section, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, however long you feel you want to talk. You can just call in, and we'll be more than happy to hear your story and have you share.
We'd love to have any of you guys
anybody
call
that wants
in.
to call in and share, you know,
Yeah.
just let us know and provide you the number.
Any
I don't put the
of
number up as our regular thing because you get a lot of, we've gotten so many prank
yeah.
calls and people that are just...
I think it's a beautiful thing, though. Ham came in,
Yeah.
wanted to troll,
Yeah.
and we were able to
Educate him.
educate him, talk with him. You know, a lot of times people, you know, they want to poke fun at trannies and whatnot.
Yeah, because the first thing is, is one of you a tranny?
Yeah,
You know?
it's like, and it's like, you know, it's like we don't have anything to hide. We're not like trying to pretend we're something we're not, and we're just two people
That's
that
it.
are living our lives. We have made these decisions for ourselves, and they have affected us in ways. And you know, I personally am grateful for this journey. Although I've been, you know, I've lost a lot. I've also gained everything in this person, you know, because this person has taught me, given me the ability to become a better person and to learn how to love, you know, and to know and understand what true unconditional love looks like. I mean, I was taught about unconditional love as a Christian growing up. You know, they would say what it was. It was the agape love of Jesus and stuff. And, you know, I thought that I was going to experience it within Christianity, but I didn't. And through this transition, through this time, which has been a spiritual awakening of sorts for me, this is my journey. And I'm so grateful to have been on it. And, you know, there's things I regret, but there's also things that I don't regret, because if we wouldn't have done what we did, we would never met each other.
Exactly.
You know?
And
So,
I believe that we've been put
and here
together
we
for a
are.
reason, you know, and it's like I mentioned earlier, all the bad things that may happen to us somehow, you know, in some way, it's maybe not announced to us at the moment, but it happens for a reason, for the betterment of someone, something, you know, and it's that circle of life, you know, circle of life. So we want to take the time to thank you guys. We'll be off Saturday and Sunday. Actually, tomorrow we'll be having an interview with April. I don't know. April, is there a way for people to listen in, or it'll have to be after it's been recorded and we could share the link so that...
Could we live stream it? The interview, like from the phone call?
I don't know. Well, I'll ask April if we could do that. And if we can, then I'll post the link up somewhere. And if not, I'm sure that, you know, after the fact, we could either make...
okay.
okay.
CKUW.ca. Listen live.
Well, there you go, folks.
There you go, you guys.
Yeah, I'll make a thingy on the...
3 p.m.
That's Central Time. That'd be 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, and that'd be 4 o'clock Eastern Time. But I'll put something on the Facebook and then maybe on the community page so you guys can listen in.
Thank you, you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you,
Let's make our
Cyberskull.
show.
Love you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, everybody. Gosh, I can't remember them all. Patricia.
Yeah, there's
Gail.
so many wonderful people, and that we consider family.
Yes. Gail.
You know, we had
Kitten
and our
Addicts.
popular girl Mason
Mason,
Mount,
Yes.
Preston, Patricia, Kitten XT,
Parejo from Uruguay. Uruguay, that's lovely. And Anti-Popular Girl.
Catherine Willie.
Yes, Catherine, we appreciate you
Zoo
so
Pat.
much. Sue, yes.
So many people.
Carmen.
Even Ham.
Yeah, Ham, thank you.
Jeannie Rose.
Yes.
So many beautiful people.
Yes.
Everybody just... Abby
Abby
Hayes. Meme.
Yep.
Meme asked... Okay.
So, as usual, we're ending with a song. This is going to be special because this is when, God, we got back from the journey, Gypsy Blue Nomad Journey, and we were staying at a hotel, and we just come back to Silver City. Now, this was like 2 years ago. Let me see here. When was this? October 19, 2017. A while back. So,
Oh boy.
yeah, this is an original called I Feel, and Linda harmonizes it beautifully with me. So,
Boy, oh boy.
boy, oh boy. So,
Fun.
you guys have a great weekend. We love you. But remember to always love yourselves too. Goodbye. Have a good one. Let's see here. Share. Open up. Make big. Come on now. And... See sky. Do you see me like I see you? Do you feel me like I feel you? It hurts inside. Babe, I love you. Gentle soul, don't you be afraid at all. Live your life in love and throw your fears away. Do you see me like I see you? That was good.